আসছে,
হ্যালো আসছে আসছে, হ্যালো হ্যালো চেক, হ্যালো 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 চেক, হ্যালো 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 চেক, হ্যালো চেক, হ্যালো 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 চেক, এটা আছে নেই, হ্যালো আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, হ্যালো 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 চেক, হ্যালো 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 চেক, হ্যালো হ্যালো হ্যালো
অন করা আছে? অন করা আছে। Om Namo Bhagavate Ramakrishnaaya. Salutations to Sri Ramakrishna. Good morning to you all who are present in this program hosted by Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira and Autonomous Postgraduate Teacher Education College and Research Institute situated in the close precincts of Belur Math. The program will be started with the Vedic chanting by the students of Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira. At the outset, on behalf of our college, I would like to offer our collective pranams to all the senior Swamijis present in this Vivekananda Sabhagriha. Today we have assembled here to listen a special speech of Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj on the topic of the importance of focus in education. Now, felicitation. I would like to request Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Secretary of Ramakrishna Mission Sharadapeeth, as well as Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, to felicitate Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Minister in charge of the Vedanta Society of New York. I would like to request Swami Vidyamandira Maharaj, the principal of Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira College, to felicitate our Secretary Maharaj, Swami Sarvapriyanandaji. Requesting Dr. Gautam Bandyopadhyay, faculty of our college to felicitate our principal Maharaj, Swami Vidyamritanandaji. Now, Dr. Gautam Bandopadhyay sir will be felicitated by Principal Maharaj, Swami Vidyamritanandaji. Before going to the main section of the program, I would like to request Swami Vidyamritanandaji Maharaj, Principal Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, to deliver welcome address.
Om Jananim Saradam Devim Ramakrishnam Jagadgurum Padapadme Tvayo Sritva Pranamami Muhur Muhu. A very good morning to all of you. Today we have assembled here to listen to a special talk by Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj on the topic, the importance of focus in education. The lecture is a part of the ongoing in-service teachers training program on methodology of English under RUSA 2.0 Component 8 grant. Today, Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj needs no introduction. Still, as a customary, I am saying a few words about him. Revered Maharaj is a minister and spiritual leader of the Vedanta Society of New York since January 2017. He joined the Ramakrishna order in 1994 and received sannyasa in 2004. He has served as an acharya of the Monastic Professionals Training Center at Belur Math, India. Some of us here feel privileged to have him as our acharya when we were in Professionals Training Center. He has also served in various capacities in different educational institutes of Ramakrishna order, like Vice Principal of Deoghar Vidyapita, and we take special pride in saying that Revered Maharaj has served Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira as the principal from 2002 to 2006. Before taking charge of the Vedanta Society of New York, he was the Assistant Minister of the Vedanta Society of Southern California. He was a Nagaral Fellow at the Harvard Divinity School in 2019 and 20. Revered Maharaj is a well-known speaker on Vedanta and his talks are popular with the internet audience. He has been a speaker on various prestigious forums such as TEDx, SAND, and has given a Google Talk. He has also been invited to speak at several universities across the world, including Harvard University. Revered Maharaj has engaged in dialogues with eminent thinkers like Deepak Chopra, Rupert Spira, and Rick Archer. Revered Maharaj has played a prominent role in organizing and participating in various interfaith panels and seminars, including speaking at the World Parliament of Religion in Toronto in 2018 and at the United Nations headquarters in New York. We feel very lucky to have him here today in this program, and on behalf of Sikshanamandira family, we convey our deepest regard and pranams to Revered Maharaj and warmly welcome him on today's program. Here I would like to take the opportunity to gratefully mention the name of Swami Urjitananda, Controller of Examinations, Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, and convener of the in-service teacher training program. Behind the scene he worked, and because of him actually the lecture of Revered Maharaj is conducted here. In this program we also have Revered Swami Shastraganandaji Maharaj, Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira and Ramakrishna Mission Sharada Pitha. Revered Maharaj will deliver the keynote address. Maharaj has a very profound experience of academic and administrative work in the field of higher education. In the capacity of principal, he has served two prestigious colleges of Ramakrishna Mission Vidyamandira and Ramakrishna Mission Residential College at Narendrapur. We convey our respectful pranams to Revered Maharaj and welcome him on this program. I also warmly welcome Professor Dr. Gautam Bandopadhyay sir, Senior Most Faculty of English Methodology, Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, sitting on the dais. Respected sir is the coordinator of this in-service training program on English methodology and will deliver the vote of thanks today. My respectful pranams and namaskar to the sannyasins and brahmacharins present here today, and I convey a warm welcome to all of them today in today's program. The program is mainly intended for the participants of our in-service teacher trainees who came from different schools of Howrah and neighboring 5 districts. We welcome you all in this program. Here we have the students, scholars, faculty members, non-teaching staff of Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira and Vidyamandira, and I convey a hearty welcome to all of you. The guests, devotees, and admirers who have come here to listen to Revered Maharaj, and those who are watching the program live in YouTube and other social media, on behalf of Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, we welcome you all in this program. We are all eagerly waiting to listen from Revered Maharaj, so I would not take further time and I will stop here. Om Shanti Shanti Shantihi Harihi Am Tatsat Tatsat Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu. Thank you all.
Time to start the speech session. Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Secretary of Ramakrishna Mission Sarvapriyananda, as well as Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira. He was also the principal of 2 esteemed autonomous colleges of our order and state, namely Ramakrishna Mission Vidyamandira College, Belur and Ramakrishna Mission Residential College, Narendrapur. Our humble request to Maharajji to start his introductory speech.
ওম নমো ভগবতে রামকৃষ্ণায়। এটা একটা খুব ভয়ানক ব্যাপার, and it's really a very risky opportunity to me. Opportunity but a risky one. যেখানে সর্বপ্রিয়ানন্দজি বসে আছেন সেখানে আমি কিনোট অ্যাড্রেস দেব এমন স্পর্ধাও আমার নেই, and I should not have that right also to do. সর্বপ্রিয়ানন্দজিকে যখনই আমাদের বন্ধু মানুষ, আমি তত্ত্বসারানন্দজি আর সর্বপ্রিয়ানন্দজি, আমাদের খুব এই ক্লোজ ফ্রেন্ডশিপটা সবাই জানে, মানে মঠেও সবাই জানে, অনেকেই যারা আমাদের 3 জনকে চেনেন জানেন। কিন্তু মানুষের জীবনে, ইন আওয়ার হিউম্যান লাইফ, সামটাইমস উই গেট এ ভেরি মাইনরিটি গ্রুপ অফ পিপল, যাদেরকে মানে খুব হ্যান্ডফুল, একেবারে রেয়ার পার্সোনালিটিস, ফর হুম উই ক্যান রিয়েলি টেক প্রাইড অফ। সর্বপ্রিয়ানন্দজি আমাদের কাছে সেরকমই একজন মানুষ। দো হি ইজ আওয়ার ফ্রেন্ড, বাট উই আর প্রাউড অফ হিম বিকজ অফ হিজ স্কলারশিপ, বিকজ অফ হিজ দ্য স্ট্যান্ডার্ড অফ হিজ অ্যাসেটিক লাইফ, অ্যান্ড বিকজ অফ হিজ মেসমেরাইজিং পার্সোনালিটি। শুধু তোমরাই নও, আমরাও যারা ওর বন্ধু স্থানীয়, আমরাও কিন্তু ওর ফ্যান। আমরাও কিন্তু উই আর অলসো দ্য লিসনার্স of his several lectures he has delivered at different places and which are available in the YouTube. এইটা আমাদের কাছেও একটা বড় সৌভাগ্যের। সুতরাং বিদ্যামৃতানন্দজি আমাকে যে কিনোট অ্যাড্রেস দিতে বলেছেন, ইটস রিয়েলি ইম্পসিবল ফর মি টু ডেলিভার দ্য কিনোট অ্যাড্রেস when Sarvapriyanandaji is present on the dais. However, despite that, I have to say something, otherwise Vidyamritanandaji will not allow me in the lunch session. So for that reason, I will speak a little bit only. Amra sabai jani, the definition given by Swami Vivekananda on education is a very popular one, very popular definition which we quote frequently. Education is the manifestation of the perfection already in man. এই যে ডেফিনেশনটা, মনে হয় এই ডেফিনেশনটা বোধহয় পৃথিবীর যে কোয়েস্ট অফ এডুকেশন, in the process of acquisition of education by all the learners in the passage of the time, সবার কাছেই এই ডেফিনেশনটা একটা খুব বড় রকমের ইন্সপায়ারিং ওয়ান এবং বড় রকমের গাইডলাইন। ইটস এ রিয়েল গাইডলাইন and also it plays the role of inspiration. এটার মানে বিরাট আলোচনা নিশ্চয়ই মহারাজ করবেন, আরও অন্য দিক থেকে আলোচনা করবেন। অনলি ওয়ান পয়েন্ট উইচ রিয়েলি হন্টস মি, সেটা এইটাই যে এই যে এডুকেশনের পারসুটটা আমরা ছোটোবেলা থেকে স্টার্ট করি, সেটা স্বামীজি স্পষ্ট বলছেন, টু অ্যাটেইন দ্য পারফেকশন। ভারতবর্ষের সনাতন শাস্ত্রে এডুকেশনের বিদ্যা অর্জনের একটা লক্ষ্য স্থির করা হয়েছিল। সে লক্ষ্যে বলা হয়েছিল ইয়া বিদ্যা সা বিমুক্তায়ে, মুক্তির জন্য, ফর দ্য ফাইনাল ডেলিভারেন্স, অল আওয়ার লার্নিং, অল আওয়ার নলেজ, আওয়ার উইজডম উইল বি ডিভোটেড ফর অ্যাটেইনিং দ্য ফাইনাল লিবারেশন। সেই কারণেই আমাদের কনসেপ্টে যে স্নাতক কনসেপ্ট ছিল, গ্র্যাজুয়েটস কনসেপ্ট ছিল, সেখানে 3 ধরনের গ্র্যাজুয়েটদের কথা বলা হয়েছে। এক দলকে বলা হতো বিদ্যা স্নাতকা, আরেক দলকে বলা হতো ব্রত স্নাতকা, and third group was called as ubhaya snataka. Although vidya snataka and brata snatakas, these two groups are very much welcomed in the institution, in the society as well. Kintu ubhaya snataka, they are considered to be the highest level of people. Those who will achieve the education and who will also have some vows which they will implement in their own life to attain the final deliverance and also to do welfare for the entire society. এই লক্ষ্যেই কিন্তু উভয়া স্নাতকা কনসেপ্টটা এসছে, এবং বোঝা যায় এই কারণেই আমাদের সোসাইটিতে, আমাদের ভারতবর্ষের সনাতন বিদ্যায় এই এডুকেশনটাকে, এই লার্নিং সিস্টেমটাকেই একটা ফাইনাল অ্যাটেইনমেন্ট অব আওয়ার লিবারেশন, তার সঙ্গে লিঙ্ক করা হয়েছে। ইন দ্য মানে আমাদের যে সভ্যতার বিভিন্ন প্রোগ্রেশনগুলো হয়েছে, তাতে কিন্তু এই লিঙ্কটা একটা ডিসকানেক্টেডনেস তৈরি হয়েছে। এটা ভেরি মাচ ট্রু that we are not so much connected now with this particular concept of বিমুক্তায়ে, বিমুক্তির কনসেপ্টের সঙ্গে আমাদের একটা ডিসকানেক্টেডনেস তৈরি হয়েছে। কিন্তু we need to re-establish the connection. We need to re-establish the connection. Otherwise, Vidya, the entire system of our learning, the entire spectrum of the education will be simply used by the business people, will simply be used for our just to satisfy our consumer approach, যেটা কিন্তু এখন আমরা জগতে দেখতে পাচ্ছি। একজন বিখ্যাত অর্থনীতিবিদের সঙ্গে কথা হয়েছিল কিছুদিন আগে, তিনি খুব সুন্দর বলেছিলেন যে দেখুন, যে কোনো লার্নিংয়ের দ্য অবজেক্টিভ অফ দ্য লার্নিং শুড বি to attain some soft power. Rather, in our today's education, we are trying to develop the hard power. We are dedicating the entire educational system to develop the hard power. Hard power means this wealth. Hard power means all these technological development. These are needed. But if our educational system, if all our endeavors related with education are completely devoted, completely dedicated only to attain this hard power, then naturally at the end or at any point of time, we will start creating quarrel within us. The competition, the tension, the frustration, and all the quarrel which we see, all the mismatch which we find within the individuals, within a family system, within an organizational system, and between the countries and countries, nation and nations, are only due to this, that we have not paid due attention to attain the soft power using the educational system. The Indian educational system, the Sanatana educational system, only pointed out to this particular aspect, uttering that famous line, Sa Vidya Ya Bimuktaye. This will only help us to find out the soft power, to develop the soft power, which will ultimately season the crudeness of the hard power of the society. So both these will be able to create a good earth, a good habitat, best habitat for our human society and civilization. So at the same time, when we are trying to develop the science, technology, sociology, art, culture, everything, we must not forget to pay equal attention to to create this soft power, so that for that reason, in fact, Indian civilization, we need to refocus on the Indian civilization. We need to reconnect ourselves with the educational system, the objectives which our Sanatana Indian civilization has tried to establish, tried to cater for the entire human civilization. With these few words, I conclude. Only I am waiting to listen to Sarvapriyanandaji as you are also waiting. Thank you.
Maharaj pranams. Now, television broadcasting parlance, this is the prime time. The highest TRP snatching episode for which we have been waiting for is about to start within few minutes. Although owing to his global popularity as an orator, Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj really doesn't need any such introduction. Principal Maharaj also already has mentioned in details. Still, I would like to share just few things. We have already listened that Revered Maharaj was the very first registrar of then Vivekananda University. He is an alumnus of our college and was the very first monastic principal of Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira. And one thing I must add here, although it is little personal, that Maharaji was very popular acharya, teacher of probationers training centers, Brahmachari Prashikhan Kendra, situated in Belur Math. And like myself, like Vidyamritanandaji, Mahapragyanandaji is present here, principal of the Vidyamandir College, Shantashanandaji is present here, and like many of us present here, we were fortunate enough to attend the classes of Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, the Vedanta Sara classes, class on Sridhar Swami's class, on Bhagavad Gita, on positive psychology, Indian and Western philosophy. Even after night Pangat, night Prasad, we had classes of Drisrisha Vivek, Chandakya Upanishad, etc., etc. And we shall cherish all those golden moments for the rest of our lives. And Scott Hayden says, teachers love three lovers. Teachers have three loves. Love of learning, love of learners, and the love of the bringing the first two love together. We really started to love Advaita Vedanta, always theoretically, just because of the profound and lucid teachings of Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj. In the year 2015, he has been posted to US, first as the assistant of Vedanta Society of Southern California, and then since January 6th, 2017, he has been serving the Vedanta Society of New York as its minister in charge. Today, Maharaji will speak on the topic, the importance of focus in education, which itself is very relevant topic for all the informal learners in general and for all the teachers and students in particular. Now I humbly request Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj to begin his speech. Maharaji, please, the floor is yours.
Revered Secretary Maharaj, Swami Shastragnanandaji, respected Principal Maharaj, respected Professor Gautam Bandyopadhyay, respected Principal Maharaj of Vidyamandir College is here. Dr. Pradeep Bose, you may not know him, but he's the Secretary of the Vedanta Society of New York. So he's actually visiting Calcutta just at this time. So he has come to attend the talk. He's a very eminent scientist with IBM in USA. Distinguished members of the faculty, other monks who are present here, brahmacharis who are present here, distinguished members of the faculty of Sikshanamandira, other colleges. The in-service teacher training program, the ones who are attending this course, it's actually meant for you. So you are the focus of this talk and this entire program. And then there are students, the M.Ed and B.Ed students from Sikshanamandira, then the students from Vidyamandira College, and a number of guests. A lot of people wanted to attend for a Vedanta talk, but this is not going to be a Vedanta talk. This is a talk actually meant for in-service teachers, especially English teachers from different schools. Now, it is true that I actually at one time studied and taught ESL, English as Second Language, methodologies of teaching. Gautam Babu was my teacher. And I did conduct some programs at one time, and was approached for this program. I told Swami Ujjitanandaji, the person who has really put together this program, I told him that I haven't really taught this subject for more than 12 years now. So can I actually give a general talk on education, something related to education? And thankfully, he agreed. So I decided I'll speak about the subject of focus, the importance of focus in education. And that's good, because apart from the people who are directly dealing with education, the faculty of Sikshanamandira, the trainees here present today, and also the B.Ed, M.Ed students, apart from them, there are many other people here who might not be particularly interested in a specific English language training program, but everybody is interested in the subject of focus, concentration. So it's a good choice of subject. They mentioned that I was a principal of Sikshanamandira. It's always a pleasure to come back to Sikshanamandira and speak to the students and the faculty and staff there. I was not only the principal there, but I was a student in Sikshanamandira. As a brahmachari, I did my B.Ed first. And Gautam Babu, a number of other teachers there who are there, I recognize many of them, a few new faces. So they were my teachers also. And then we were colleagues, because I taught there for a short while under Shubodh Babu. And then for a short while, for a few years, I was the principal there also. So I'm very closely connected with Sikshanamandira. I also stayed in the same hostel like you do, and the same, the dining hall routine, all of that. So it's a very interesting experience. So it's great to come back to Sikshanamandira and speak to all of you. Focus, concentration. By the way, I'll use a little bit of Bengali. Is there anybody here who does not understand Bengali? 1, 2, yeah. So I'll maybe just use a couple of words of Bengali here and there. I think it'll be either I'll translate or you can understand it from context. You'll be able to get it. And of course, there is a wide internet audience also, so I have to keep that in mind. Swami Vivekananda gave utmost importance on concentration. He has mentioned it several times in the complete works. We find that concentration is the key to all knowledge. The secret of all knowledge, getting all knowledge, is concentration. He says again, the difference between an ordinary person and a great person lies in the degree of concentration. A degree of concentration, ekagrotar man. এই তফাতে মানুষ মহৎ হয় কি সাধারণ হয়. Now one might think that Swamiji is exaggerating. Is it only concentration? There are so many other factors involved. But then I was surprised to read, and very happy to read, John von Neumann, one of the greatest physicists of the 20th century. Some say he was greater than Einstein. So he says, by the way, very interesting fact, near our ashram, where I come from, and that was also established by Swami Vivekananda in 1894 in New York, there's a place called Princeton. And there's an institute called the Institute of Advanced Studies, IAS. And there, you had some of the most exceptional minds of the 20th century. Einstein was there. Gödel was there. And if I'm not wrong, von Neumann was also there, probably. He was there, and some others. Top physicists, many of them Nobel Prize winners, many mathematicians. So this John von Neumann, and a biographical article about him, it said, von Neumann was absolutely convinced that he could crack any problem by the sheer power of concentration. By just concentrating on that problem, he said he felt that he would be able to solve that problem. So concentration, power of focusing the mind, we're going to talk about what is the problem today. There's a crisis in concentration, a crisis in attention today. What is the problem, the causes of that problem, and what possibilities are there? What is concentration? How does it work? How can we improve concentration? All of these things we'll talk about in a short, over the 1 hour that follows. And then we'll have some Q&A, some question answers also will be there. So that's the plan today. I remember a couple of years back, we did a spiritual retreat in New York in a place called Garrison. It's a spiritual retreat. Basically, it was a Christian monastery at one time. Now it's used mostly by Buddhists for a retreat. It's very famous, Garrison, New York, if you search. And we did the retreat on meditation techniques, different techniques of meditation. So we had sessions on Buddhist meditation, on Kashmiri Shaiva meditation, on our typical Ishta Devata mantra-based, the dualistic, deity visualization meditation, then non-dual meditation, Advaitic meditation. Professor Arindam Chakravarti, who teaches Indian philosophy at the University of Hawaii. So when I told him that we are going to do this kind of a retreat, he made a very interesting suggestion. He said, "Khub bhalo kotha Maharaj. Bhalo kore prottekta bojaben. Every method of meditation, please explain separately, independently. But then at the end, please take some time to reflect on what is common to all these different techniques of meditation. Every technique of meditation is based on a different philosophy. Philosophies are very different. Techniques are also very different. But what is common to all these techniques of meditation?" And so that was a good suggestion. After the retreat, we did that. We ওটা কি কোয়েশ্চেনের জন্য সার্কুলেট করছেন, question answer? If it is possible, we can do a live question answer. In fact, mic dile aro interesting hobe. So you need not write it. If you are comfortable with speaking live, come to the mic and speak. That will be nice. But keep your questions short and to the point. There was this famous philosopher, অনেকে জানে, একেবারে বদ্ধ পাগল, Slavoj Žižek, খুব নামকরা ফিলোসফার, মার্কসিস্ট, ইস্টার্ন ইউরোপিয়ান। তো নিউ ইয়র্কে একবার বক্তৃতা দিতে এসেছিলেন, কোয়েশ্চেন আনসার হবে। তো এরকম লাইন করে এক এক করে প্রশ্ন করবেন, আমি গেছিলাম ওখানে। And one person hogged all the time. And he kept on asking questions. And everybody saying, let the next person speak. And he said, call the police. Police ডাকুন। কিন্তু আমি প্রশ্ন করে ছাড়বো না। So don't do that. So in all these techniques of meditation, at the end, we had a session in which we deliberated a little bit for a few minutes. And it was very clear to all of us, all these different meditation techniques coming from different religious, spiritual traditions, what is common to all of them? And we found what is common to all these meditation techniques is one thing, and one thing only, training of attention. All of them, whether it's Buddhist mindfulness, following the breath, whether it is the Soham meditation from Vijnana Bhairava in Kashmiri Shaiva tradition, whether it's Ishta Devata Dhyana with mantra, whether it's Advaitic focus, Bodhkara, focusing on awareness of awareness, all of them are training of attention. And this is very important not only in spiritual life, but very important in education. Education is also important for spiritual life. What Maharaj said, there is a continuity. Sa vidya ya vimuktaye. There's a continuity between knowledge, education, and spirituality. Education, ethics, spirituality is one continuum. Professor Whitehead has called this the historical failure of education. He said in ancient times, in Greece and China and India, pupils used to go to the teacher to learn about the wisdom of life. What should we do in life? What is good? What is the purpose of life? And he says, over the centuries, we in education have retreated from that position. Now in schools and colleges, we don't feel that it is our business to teach anybody the purpose of life, what is good, what is bad. And he says this is a historical failure. Everybody wants to know, but we don't want to talk about it. So it has become high time now in this country and in the whole world, people are beginning to recognize the importance of ethics, spiritual culture in education, And why today? We were taught by Professor Bandyopadhyay and others here, University Education Commission, Dr. Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan. There itself, one whole chapter was there, the importance of spiritual training, religious and moral training, which no government ever implemented. But we had to memorize because examination was, I think, 5 number na kichu 10 number thakto porikkate. But that's so wise. Dr. Radhakrishnan, 1948, he had thought about it. So training of attention. A famous philosopher of the 20th century, Simone Weil. Her brother Andre Weil was a famous mathematician. Simone Weil, she was a famous philosopher. Onar boi ache, Waiting for God. Now she says, French philosopher. In fact, je khub naam kora feminist philosopher chilen, Simone de Beauvoir, they were in the same school, classmate kimba ek bochore tafate. Simone Weil or Simone de Beauvoir. Simone Beauvoir, she was completely an atheist. And Simone Weil was very devoted, very spiritual. She says, education is most important for spiritual life. Why? Because education trains the attention. And training of the powers of attention, that is the great contribution of serious study. So this power of focus, this is what we're going to talk about today. Here, there is a crisis. Daniel Goleman, who we know, he invented the term EQ, emotional intelligence. Just as we have intelligence quotient, IQ, so he invented the term emotional intelligence. He's famous for that. But recently, he has written a book, Focus, talking about this crisis in attention and the importance of focus. And there he says, over the last 10, 20 years, this book is a few years ago he wrote, so in the last decade of the 20th century, first decade of the 21st century, he says, I have been hearing these troubling reports from parents, from teachers, from corporate executives, that the new generation which is coming to school, college, and into corporate life, into being hired in companies, they are all suffering from a serious attention deficit. And this is not new. I have heard it from school teachers, both here in India and in USA, that over the last 20 years, we are beginning to see a difference in the nature, in the way these students, their attention span is getting smaller and smaller and smaller. They don't want to sit quietly and listen. They are used, somebody said, they are used at home to be continuously entertained. TV, internet, phone, iPad, from babyhood onwards. From babyhood. Even before they can walk, they learned how to use an iPad. Why only babies? I saw one very funny report in America. One couple of dogs are very popular there. So in that family, they have a dog. And they would sit and watch TV, husband, wife, and the dog. National Geographic channel, Discovery channel, যেখানে জন্তু জানোয়ার আছে, the dog is very happy, watch. Channel change করে, if you change the channel, কুকুরটা গিয়ে টিভিটাকে ঢেকে এরকম দাঁড়িয়ে থাকবে। দেখতে দেবে না আপনাকে, it won't let you see. So finally they had to buy an iPad for the dog. তো iPad বসে ও Discovery channel দেখে, আর এই কাপল ওরা নিজে যা দেখতে চায় দেখে। Babies are growing up trained to use this iPads or phones, and so there's something there that is creating this continuous shortening of attention. So they are entertained throughout their time, from early morning, from early childhood, early morning every day till late night, entertained. So if you are entertained continuously, when you come to class and the teacher wants you to listen to a talk, look at the blackboard, boring. So they don't want to listen. And the attention span has become shorter and shorter. One school teacher said the same primary school lesson which we used to be able to give in 25-30 minutes earlier, we cannot do it now. The children become restless in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. We cannot complete that lesson because it's not possible, and something that you see all throughout. Daniel Goleman mentions a new phenomenon called intermittent attention. Intermittent attention, intermittent listening. Maniki, that it's not that in a classroom or in an executive meeting that people are not listening, it's not that. They are listening, but intermittently. Maje maje ektu phone, maje maje ektu social media, abar back to the teacher. I observe the students. Sometimes it's like a hobby of mine to visit universities and classes. Whenever I'm called to different places in United States, I like to see if there's a nice university nearby, go and watch. And sometimes, and of course I attended classes at Harvard University for several months. One thing I would notice is how the students are studying. The methodology has changed. So and they are very smart students, very intelligent students, high academically high scoring students from across the world. But what I noticed was, obviously nowadays everybody has a laptop. So it's not that they are not listening to the professor. They are listening to the professor. But once in a while, what the professor is saying, look up in the internet, ki ache internet Google kore dilo. Then from that Google page, I noticed they go from that to something else to something else. Ektu social media check kore nilo, back to the professor again. This is intermittent attention. Not just in the classroom, in meetings also. In school and college and university meetings, in companies. এখানে তো অনেক বেশি discipline. You're not using your mobiles, you're not connected. But because you're connected, there's always this tendency to, attention getting diverted. Why attention gets diverted? What is happening? There was a documentary recently. I don't know how many of you have seen it, but it's worth watching. It's called The Social Dilemma. কতজন দেখেছেন হাত তুলুন দেখি? Lot of you have seen, quite a few of you have seen it. I think everyone should see it. The Social Dilemma. It was a documentary on the ill effects of social media on attention. I'll tell you a little bit about it. It created quite a splash, I heard, from students in Columbia, in Yale, at Harvard, Ivy League colleges, universities in USA. It had some effect recently, just a couple of years back. What are they saying? They're saying that, see, these devices which we have in our pockets, a phone, there are brilliant engineers working in Silicon Valley, many of them Indians. They are working to make us addicted to these phones. Actually, using psychology, using educational psychology to make us addicted to these devices. Why addicted? Ki labh tate? They have got something called the attention economy. They found all these social media platforms and other websites and all across the internet, they found that content on the internet is freely available. How will you attract attention for the people? Content is freely available. If you give good content, you think that people will come to my website, my platform, my app? No, because good content is freely available. Now, but I want the attention of people. Why do I want the attention of people? Because for these social media platforms and others also on the internet, the more attention you get, the more attention users pay to you, it translates into higher advertising revenue. So it is a question of money for them. The more you use their platforms, the more money they make, and that's why they want our attention. That's why it's called the attention economy. There's a saying, আমরা ভাবি ইন্টারনেটটা তো ফ্রি, এসব তো ফেসবুক এসব কি তো ফ্রি, টুইটার, ফেসবুক and what not, Instagram, they're free. They're not free. There's a saying, if you are being offered something, if a product is free, if you're getting a product which is free, know for certain, you are the product, you are being sold on the internet. Productটা free হতে পারে, but your time, your energy, your attention is now being sold and monetized on the internet. Now, how will I get your attention? Bhalo content, good content is not enough, because good content is freely available. Sab kichu ekhon freely available on the internet. Then how will I make get people's attention? The way to get people's attention is to addict them. যাতে তারা আর ছাড়তে না পারে জিনিসটাকে। How will I addict them? একটা ফোনের সঙ্গে addiction কি করে হবে? So they used a bit of psychology drawn from Las Vegas. Las Vegas in America, it's famous for gambling. আমিও গেছি, gambling করতে নয়. We actually have a small Vedanta society there. And the reason is, Swami Sarvapriyanandaji who was the head of the Vedanta Society of Hollywood, of Southern California, he said, ভালো জায়গা বেদান্ত প্রচারের জন্য, ওই লোকগুলো যখন সব কিছু হারিয়ে ক্যাসিনোর থেকে বেরোবে তখন বোঝাবে যে ওদের স্পিরিচুয়ালিটির বিষয় একটু বোঝাতে হবে। Now what they do there, ওই গ্যাম্বলিং মেশিনের the theory is that those who are gambling, it's not that you will lose all the time or win all the time. This intermittent reward, this it's a probabilistic kind of thing. So you sometimes win, sometimes lose. ওইগুলো খেললে ওই এটা ইয়ে খেলা মানে it's just gambling আর কি. But you will win sometimes, you will lose sometimes. When will you win, when will you lose, nobody knows. It's sort of random. Now there's a human psychology, যে আরেকবার করে দেখি না যদি জিতবো, টাকা $1 দিল আর একটু কিছু খেলে দেখলো যদি জিততে পারে, sometimes losing, sometimes winning. ওই sometimes winning we get addicted to it. And there is literally, if you see on the internet, gambling addiction is there. So how to get people addicted? Reward them intermittently. মাঝে মাঝে একটা করে রিওয়ার্ড দেওয়া। There's nothing more very different from Skinner's behavioral training. সেই ইঁদুরদের ট্রেনিং দিয়ে দেওয়া হতো, পাভলোভের কুকুর আর স্কিনারের র্যাটস, সেইভাবে আমাদের ট্রেনিং দেওয়া হয় to become addicted to gambling. Now what these people have done in Silicon Valley, এই আমাদের ফোনের মধ্যে, they continuously develop this technology. What they do is they draw our attention. ওই দেখবেন ফোনটা মাঝে মাঝে টিং করে ওঠে, মাঝে মাঝে টুং করে ওঠে, মাঝে মাঝে একটু ভাইব্রেট করে। কি করছে? একটা মেসেজ এলো, একটা আপডেট এলো, একটা অফার এলো কিছু কিছু জায়গায়, একটা কিছু নতুন ভিডিও এসছে। So what is wrong? What is wrong is once in a while your attention is being pulled to that and it rewards you. মাঝে মাঝে একটা কিছু ইউজফুল জিনিস, বেশিরভাগ সময় ইউজলেস, বাট বলছে there is a neuroscience to it. There is dopamine and serotonin which are mood uplifters. আর ওই ছোট ছোট রিওয়ার্ডে these things, this dopamine and serotonin concentrations increase in our brain, and it gives us a feeling of good, a feeling of euphoria, a slight feeling of well-being, happiness. And when you do that once in a while, intermittently, they have found it is as addictive as gambling. It is the same kind of psychology, same kind of neuropsychology, which is also connected to drug addiction. Drug addiction টা খুব স্ট্রং, ইলিগাল, সরকার পুলিশ ধরবে যদি কেউ ড্রাগ বিক্রি করে, কিন্তু ফোনে তো পুলিশ ধরবে না। ইনফ্যাক্ট ইন নিউ ইয়র্ক আর পুলিশ ধরেও না। নাও ম্যারিজুয়ানা, উইড, কি বলে, গাঁজা হবে তো নাকি, দ্যাট ইজ লিগাল নাও ইন নিউ ইয়র্ক। লিগাল করে দিয়েছে মানে এখন এভরি ডে ইউ কাম আউট ইন দ্য ইভিনিং, ইউ গো টু সেন্ট্রাল পার্ক, মেনি আর হাই, খুব স্পিরিচুয়াল অবস্থায় বসে আছে অনেকে। So this functions like a drug. This phone, this social media functions like a drug, and one gets addicted. How do you know that you are addicted? Most of us here are actually little bit addicted to it. Little bit addicted to it. How? If we stop it, we feel uneasy. আমরা জানতে অজান্তে মাঝে মাঝেই চেক করতে থাকি। It is not like the phones of yesteryears. আমরা কি মাঝে মাঝে ফোনের কাছে কি বসে থাকতাম, বাজবে কি বাজবে না? কখনো নয়। We are not interested. That technology was somewhat neutral. This technology is not neutral. অনেকে, many people who are elderly, they say technology তো ভালোর জন্য ইউজ করা যায়, খারাপের জন্য ইউজ করা যায়, as you use it. So it's a neutral technology. ভালোর জন্য ইউজ করলে ভালো, খারাপের জন্য ইউজ করলে খারাপ। No. Psychologists are saying this mobile technology, social media technology is not neutral. কেন neutral নয়? It is designed in such a way it will hook you. ওখানে আমেরিকাতে বলে যে নিউট্রাল টেকনোলজি, তাহলে যে তোমাদের বাড়িতে লিকার, হুইস্কি রাখছো, সেটা তো বলে ভালোর জন্য হতে পারে, খারাপ জন্য, তাহলে তুমি চাবি দিয়ে রাখছো, কারণ এখানে বাচ্চারা আছে, সেগুলো চাবি দিয়ে রাখা হয়। কেন রাখা হয় চাবি দিয়ে? বিকজ ইট ইজ ড্যামেজিং অ্যাকচুয়ালি। আর আমেরিকাতে আরেক রকম পাগলামি আছে, বন্দুক রাখার স্টাইল আছে। তো সবাই বাড়িতে বন্দুক, 4 জন যদি মেম্বার থাকে 10টা বন্দুক থাকবে বাড়িতে। তো এটা খেলনার মতন, কিন্তু ওটা গান ক্যাবিনেট, লিকার ক্যাবিনেট, ওখানে মদ রাখা আছে, লক করা থাকে, আর গান ক্যাবিনেট লক করা থাকে। যে গান তো টেকনোলজি, ভালোর জন্য ইউজ করলে ভালো, খারাপের জন্য ইউজ করলে খারাপ, তাহলে লক করে রাখছো কেন? ডেঞ্জারাস, ডেঞ্জারাস। That's why it has to be locked up. And the psychologists are now saying this social media technology is equally dangerous, perhaps more dangerous. Drug, liquor, guns, যেটা পরিষ্কার danger বোঝা যাচ্ছে, এটা danger বোঝা যাচ্ছে না. And what effect it is having, especially on the next generation who are growing up with it, that we will begin to see now. এই দশকে যখন ওরা কলেজ থেকে গ্র্যাজুয়েট করে চাকরিতে যাচ্ছে, এই দশকে we will see what effect that is having and over the next 10, 20, 30 years. So this is that social dilemma. Please take a look. A very nicely made documentary which shows us how insidious this technology is. It's in all our pockets. আমাদের সবাইকার কাছে আছে. And it has already affected us. Now we are grown up. We have come into this technology. Already our brains were developed. But those who are children, teenagers, developing brains, they grow up with this technology. What effect will it have? I have myself seen, and you have seen more than me, that baby হাঁটতেও পারে না, আইপ্যাডটা কেড়ে নিলে চিৎকার করে উঠছে. That's a kind of addiction. So the effect of social media is to create a habit of distraction. A habit of distraction. Now somebody might ask what is the problem? ক্ষতি কি হলো? একটু মাঝে মাঝে ফোনটা দেখলাম, ক্ষতি কি হলো? ক্ষতি এই হলো, focus requires concentrated time without distraction. One psychologist said, every time you take time away, you are distracted from your object of concentration. একটা রিসার্চের কাজ করছি, অ্যাসাইনমেন্ট করছি, বই পড়ছি, ফোন দেখলাম কয়েক সেকেন্ডের জন্য. Every time you do that, he says it takes 15 minutes to come back to that flow of concentration again. একবার distraction হয়ে গেলে. Not, maybe that is exaggerated, but still it does take time to come back. বারে বারে ওখানে ফিরিয়ে আনা concentration. So it is very damaging. And we are seeing the effect of that in the classroom. We are seeing the effect of that in meetings, in boardrooms, in executive, everywhere. There is a crisis of mental health. Not only crisis of attention, crisis of mental health in America. And here also in India. Especially, I think it is exaggerated by COVID last 2 years. Recently in Washington, D.C., I got an invitation from APA, American Psychiatric Association. So they wanted a meeting of psychiatrists and faith leaders, religious leaders. So I was a representative of Hinduism. Mostly they were representatives of Christianity, different Christian churches. But Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, different Judaism. So we went. This is a very powerful body in USA, APA, American Psychiatric Association. Some of you may know, America has the largest number of psychiatrists and largest number of lawyers in the world per capita. That's what it says about the mental health of the country. So, largest number of psychiatrists, a very powerful body. And more confusingly, there are two APAs, American Psychology Association, American Psychiatric Association. আর একে অপরকে দু চক্ষে দেখতে পারে না ওরা, আর দুজনকার হেডকোয়ার্টার্সই পাশে পাশে. It is very confusing. So they said there is a great mental health crisis in America now, including one area is this area of distraction, lack of focus. Another area is psychiatric illness and even suicide and all of that. So this is the problem. Now, what is attention and how can we develop attention? What can be done about it? I will draw upon two books. One is a very well-known book called Flow, F-L-O-W. So it's a book of positive psychology. So now there's this whole new positive psychology movement. 20 বছর আগে ছিল না এটা. There's Professor Martin Seligman. He was the president of the American Psychology, not Psychiatry Association, Psychology Association. ওই দুটো ভুল করলে ওরা চটে যায় খুব. আমি ওটা নই, ওদের সঙ্গে নই, আমি এখানে. So he was the president of the American Psychology Association about 20-25 years ago, and he's the one who kick-started this whole positive psychology movement. His idea was that we have so far concentrated in psychology on human illness, how to cure mental illness and make a person better, how to take a person from, in his words, from -5 to 0. But then can't psychology do something positive? How can you take a person from 0 to +5? Can't psychology help us to flourish, human flourishing? So what can psychology tell us instead of just mental illness? What can psychology tell us about happiness, about concentration, focus, about flourishing in human life, motivation, all the positive sides of human psychology. খুব মজার মানুষ, আমি দেখিনি ওনাকে, আমি ইউটিউবে শুনেছি ওনার একটা বক্তৃতায় ওনাকে মার্টিন সেলিগম্যানকে জিজ্ঞেস করা হয়েছে, উনি মজা করে বলছেন, আমাকে CNN থেকে এলো ইন্টারভিউ করতে, প্রফেসর সেলিগম্যান, হোয়াট ইজ দ্য স্টেট অফ সাইকোলজি টুডে? আর দিস ইজ CNN, বেশি বলতে পারবেন না, একটা শব্দ, হোয়াট ইজ দ্য স্টেট অফ সাইকোলজি টুডে? একটা শব্দ কি বল, গুড। তখন বলছে নো নো কাট ওয়েট আরেকটু, টেল এ লিটল মোর, 2 words, use 2 words. Professor Seligman, what is the state of psychology today? He said, not good. হ্যাঁ, good or not good কি করে, আরেকটু খুলে বলুন, হ্যাঁ, 3 words. What is, এটা বানানো গল্প। What is the state of psychology today? And he said, not good enough. Not good enough. And he said the whole idea of positive psychology is how we can make psychology, we've gone from not good to good, but not good enough. How can we make it good? How can we make it good enough? This is the idea of positive psychology. One of the areas of positive psychology is attention, focus, concentration. And one of the most important names there is Mihai Csikszentmihalyi. I will not spell out the name, a very complicated long name, Eastern European bhadralok chilen, Amerikate kaj korten. So his famous book is Flow. And his background is also interesting. He said that how I came to psychology, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi, he was a young boy in Vienna after Second World War. And destruction, সব ধ্বংস হয়ে গেছে দ্বিতীয় বিশ্বযুদ্ধের পরে. And he said one day in the evening, I had free time. What will I do? There are 2 options. One cinema was there, one lecture was there. Cinema টাকা লাগবে, আমার টাকা ছিল না. Lecture was free. So I thought I will go and attend the lecture. And I went to the lecture. কে দিচ্ছেন lecture? Carl Jung তখন lecture দিচ্ছেন। একটা lecture, আমি তখন, I'm a young man. I was completely fascinated. And I thought, this is what I will do for the rest of my life. এই সাবজেক্টটা আমি পড়বো, psychology. So he devoted his whole life in psychology to researching attention, concentration, focus. His idea is, what is the best time, what is the best experience of life? যেটাকে ম্যাসলো বলতেন peak experiences. Abraham Maslow bolten peak experiences. How does that happen? That's the best experience human beings can report across the world. So he said, one characteristic of peak experience is total focus or concentration. The quality of our life depends on what we pay attention to and how much attention we pay. I'll repeat that, it's a wonderful thing. The quality of our life depends on what we pay attention to and how much attention we pay to it. So he spent his time in researching concentration or focus. And he said, these periods of maximum focus, deep focus, he called it flow. And he got this from musicians. He interviewed many people, musicians, sports people, writers. The musician said that, এই শব্দটা ইউজ করেছে, মাঝে মাঝে এমন হয়, হয়তো ক্লাসিক্যাল ওয়েস্টার্ন মিউজিক জাস্ট ফ্লোজ, যারা বাজায় তারা জানে যে তবলা বাজাচ্ছে কি যে কোনো এনি মিউজিক্যাল ইনস্ট্রুমেন্ট কি গান গাইছে, দে নো দ্যাট সামটাইমস মাই পারফরমেন্স ইজ এফার্টলেস, দারুণ হচ্ছে সে নিজে বুঝতে পেরেছে, বাট দ্যাট উইল নট কাম অটোমেটিক্যালি, দ্যাট কামস আফটার লং প্র্যাকটিস। উনি বলছেন যে ওয়েস্টার্ন মিউজিক, ক্লাসিক্যাল মিউজিক কন্ডাক্টর, উনি হাত এ করছেন, হি ইজ কন্ডাক্টিং দ্য অর্কেস্ট্রা অ্যান্ড মিউজিক জাস্ট ফ্লোজ। মিহাই চিকজাইমিহাই বলছেন এর পেছনে থাউজেন্ডস অ্যান্ড থাউজেন্ডস অফ আওয়ার্স অফ প্র্যাকটিস ইজ দেয়ার, আমি যদি হাতটাকে নাড়াই কিছুই ফ্লো করবে না তখন। সো প্র্যাকটিস, effort leading to concentration, leading to flow. So he studied what is concentration, what is focus, and how it works, and then how we can maximize concentration. I will, even if you don't read the book, I recommend that you read the book, Flow, F-L-O-W, first book যেটা উনি লিখেছিলেন. Even if you don't read the book, there is a TED talk. Mihai Csikszentmihalyi gave a TED talk. He's not a very impressive speaker, so you have to listen carefully. But what he has to say is very valuable. I will give you the basic idea of what he has said in that book. First of all, he says, our cognitive bandwidth is limited. Our ability to consciously process information is limited. He uses the language of IT, information technology bhasha ব্যবহার করে বলছেন, we have, as human beings, we have the capacity to process consciously approximately 120 bits. Bits, যেটা binary information unit যেটা, 120 bits per second. 120 bits per second, we have that ability to focus that, to process that much information. It may seem to be a lot, but it's not actually. এই যে মন দিয়ে শুনছেন আমার কথা, মিহাই চিকজেনমিহাই বলছেন, even to listen to one person carefully, you are using about 60 bits per second. That's why if two persons speak at the same time, it becomes very difficult. পুরো আমাদের ব্যান্ডউইথটা অকুপাই করে নিচ্ছে। And not only that, we don't have 120 bits to give to any object of concentration, because about some few bits are always there for maintaining personal awareness. যে আমি আছি, একটা bodily sense, সেটার জন্য কিছুটা চলে যায়। আর বাকি যেটুকু আছে তার মধ্যে very little is actually left over. So he says we have limited cognitive processing capacity, and concentration is how much of that we can focus on the object of our attention. একটা বইতে করছি কি কিছু একটা অত তবলা বাজাচ্ছি কিংবা কিছু একটা কাজ করছি কি খেলছি, how much of that attention I can focus there. If I can focus almost all of it যা available আছে তার মধ্যে, if I can focus 80%, 90% of that on the object of attention, then that is called concentration. সেটাকে যদি ধরে রাখতে পারি, then it becomes what he calls flow state এসে যায়। আর flow state is one of the peak experiences of human life. আমাদের সবাইকার অভিজ্ঞতা, because we are all students and academicians here, almost everybody, we all know that sometimes we become absorbed in study, we become absorbed in research, and it's actually a good feeling. It is a very rich feeling. You feel better after that. So he says, giving deep attention to a challenging task and being absorbed in that, challenging and rewarding. কেউ তো বলতে পারে আমি তো টিভি দেখেও আমার কনসেন্ট্রেশন হয়, সারাক্ষণ মগ্ন হয়ে আছে টিভি দেখছে। ইজ দ্যাট ফ্লো? নো, ইটস নট ফ্লো। ওই আমি 2 ঘন্টা 3 ঘন্টা টিভি দেখে, আজকাল টিভি দেখে না কেউ, কম্পিউটারে বসে থাকে, তো 2 ঘন্টা 3 ঘন্টা যদি কম্পিউটারে নষ্ট করি, তারপরে আই ডোন্ট ফিল ইন্টিগ্রেটেড, আমার ভালো লাগে না। এভরি টাইম দ্য ফিলিং উইল বি দ্যাট আই ফিল লেস ইন্টিগ্রেটেড সাইকোলজিক্যালি। I don't feel benefited or raised, more harmonious, more integrated. Flow experience is a positive experience. So that means it has to be a rewarding, some kind of rewarding goal, some kind of higher pursuit. Study, music, sports, যা কিছু হতে পারে। It should be an active engagement. বসে বসে টিভি দেখা অ্যাক্টিভ এঙ্গেজমেন্ট নয়, বসে বসে ইন্টারনেট ব্রাউজিং করা অ্যাক্টিভ এঙ্গেজমেন্ট নয়, বাট কিছু খেলা দেখছে সেটা প্যাসিভ, কিন্তু অ্যাকচুয়ালি গিয়ে খেলছে, দ্যাট ইজ অ্যাক্টিভ এঙ্গেজমেন্ট। সো ইউ মে ওয়াচ প্রফেশনাল স্পোর্টস অন টিভি, তারা অনেক ভালো খেলছে যেটা আমরা কোনোদিন খেলতে পারবো না, বাট ইফ ইউ অ্যাকচুয়ালি গো আউট অ্যান্ড প্লে, হোয়াট এভার দ্য লেভেল অফ আওয়ার প্লেয়িং, your engagement is much more because it's actually actively engaged there. So flow, concentration, it comes if we can gather our limited bandwidth and focus it on that. দুজন কথা বললে খুব বিরক্তি লাগে একসঙ্গে, তিনজন কথা বললে ইম্পসিবল, 60 bits per second, আমাদের অতটা ব্যান্ডউইথ নেই, we will not be able to process anything. তিনজন যদি একসঙ্গে কথা বলতে থাকে আপনার সঙ্গে, it's impossible. Now, how do we do that? What is the actual mechanism of concentration? This is something very interesting, simple idea, but very powerful idea. I'll share it with you. For details, please go to the book or the TED Talk. He says this is a function of challenge and ability. Challenge and ability. Think of x-axis, y-axis. X-axis e amader ability ache, ar y-axis e challenge. Challenge means, he gives an example of tennis or badminton. Let me give that example, thing will become very clear. Suppose somebody does not know how to play tennis. আচ্ছা ব্যাডমিন্টন বলি, আমরা তো সবাই ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলেছি। একজন মজা করে ওখানে আমেরিকাতে বলছে, ও ইউ আর প্লেয়িং ব্যাডমিন্টন, আপনি তো সাধু, গুডমিন্টন খেলবেন, ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলবেন। প্রথমে যখন খেলতে আরম্ভ করি, উই ডোন্ট নো হাউ টু রিটার্ন দ্য সার্ভ। সেইটা রিটার্ন করতেই শেখা একটা বড় বড় চ্যালেঞ্জ। হ্যাঁ, সো দ্যাট ইটসেলফ রিকোয়ার্স এফার্ট অ্যান্ড কনসেন্ট্রেশন। কিছুক্ষণ খেলার পরে দ্যাট ইজ ইজি, বাট আমি যদি খালি রিটার্ন করতেই থাকি ইট বিকামস বোরিং। তখন আই ওয়ান্ট টু প্লে আ গেম, কারোর সঙ্গে গেম খেলবো। সেখানে যদি একজন খুব ভালো প্লেয়ারের সঙ্গে খেলতে আরম্ভ করে, আই উইল কন্টিনিউসলি লুজ, পারবো না, আমার লেভেলের খেলা। তারপরে কিছুদিন পরে when I become a better player, I want to play against state champion, national champion, তখন আবার so you see what is happening, the challenge is being increased. As my ability increases, challenge is being increased. If challenge is more than my ability, কি হয়? Anxiety, fear, tension. If challenge is less than ability is high, challenge is less, কি হবে? Boredom, বোরিং হয়ে যাবে। If challenge is equal to ability, then it is flow. What is challenge equal to ability? আমার যতটা ক্ষমতা আছে ততটা আমি ফুল ক্ষমতা লাগালে কাজটা করতে পারবো। একজন ভালো খেলোয়াড়ের সঙ্গে আমি ব্যাডমিন্টন খেলছি, নাও আই নো আই ক্যান প্লে, বাট আই হ্যাভ টু গিভ ফুল এফার্ট, তাহলে আমি খেলতে পারবো। Then absolute concentration will come, because all my capacity has to be focused there. বাইরের চ্যালেঞ্জটা এতটা that I have to come up to that level and face it. Then focus will come. যদি if the challenge is more than my ability, পারবো না, I'm the গেমটা হেরে যাবো, I will be anxious. একজন মাস্টার মশাই, let me give an example which we are all used to. Remember the first time you were sent to teach. In many cases you've done B.Ed, practice teaching. First time, classroom-এ আমাদের কত অভিজ্ঞতা আছে সেই। আর সেখানে বিএড ট্রেনিজ, তারা নার্ভাস, ছাত্রগুলো তখন মস্তান সব, তারা জানে এই বেচারা আসছে, গো বেচারা, এদের কোনো ক্ষমতা নেই। হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা, আই ডোন্ট নো ইফ আই শুড সে দিস, লিটল ক্রুড। আমরা ফার্স্ট টাইম প্র্যাকটিস টিচিংয়ে গেছি একটা স্কুলে, এখানে ট্রেনিজ আর কামিং ব্যাক অ্যান্ড টেলিং মি, মহারাজ জানেন ছাত্রগুলো কি বলছে, জানলা দিয়ে বলছে, দেখ ওই বিএড কলেজের মুরগিগুলো আবার এসেছে। So there is tension. I know it's very difficult to control the students. I know my abilities are not yet at that level. I know that Principal Maharaj, our teacher in charge, our external examiner, যে কোনো মুহূর্তে এসে ক্লাসে বসে দেখতে পারেন। সে কত কাণ্ড গৌতম বাবু আর ভালো করে জানেন, পুরো you can write a whole volume of stories about, so মাস্টারমশাইরা সবাই জানেন। So what happens? Tension is there, because the challenge is more than my ability. সেই একই মাস্টারমশাই, আমাদের সবাইকার অভিজ্ঞতা, একবার ক্লাস নিল, দুবার নিল, by the end of practice teaching, very good, relaxed. By the time you are in your job, it is a matter of routine. আবার সেখানে ডেঞ্জার আছে, because it becomes so used to it, so relaxed, then you don't develop anymore. We all have heard stories. ইতিহাসের মাস্টারমশাই পড়াচ্ছেন, লেখো, ইন্ডিয়া is prospering under the rule of King George the Fifth. কবে স্বাধীনতা হয়ে গেছে কিং জর্জ, সেই পুরনো রুটিন লিখিয়ে যাচ্ছেন। So at that time what happens? Ability is far more than the challenge. When is there maximum focus, maximum concentration? When ability and challenge are at the same level. Now, in order to get focus, in order to get concentration, Mihai Csikszentmihalyi says that if the challenge is far more than your ability, then you must break down that task into easier, like modules, which I can handle one by one. And if the ability is far more than the challenge, it is better to take up more challenge, complicate the task. You see, একই বই হয়তো বোরিং, তাহলে do active reading. The book is boring means that I can easily read it, but I'm not absorbing much. See, what happens is when my ability is more than the challenge, then what happens is my cognitive capacity, that bandwidth, ওই যে 120 bits, only by putting part of that capacity, I can tackle that task. The remaining part remains unused. এই কাজটা আমি 30 কি 40 bits per second কাজটা করে দিতে পারি, বাকিটা আমার capacity remains unused. Unused capacity is dangerous. তখন মাইন্ড ওয়ান্ডারিং হবে, মন এটা ভাববে সেটা ভাববে, বাইরের দিকে নজর যাবে, একটু মোবাইল ফোনটা দেখলাম, কাজ তো করতে পারছি আমি। So that is not a state of concentration. So there you must take up more challenge so that the mind is concentrated, focused more. I hope I'm getting this idea across. Too much challenge, break it down, make it shorter, make it smaller. Too little challenge, increase the challenge. Boi porchi, boring lagche. What do? Do active reading. Underline, engage your senses, engage your hands. Underline karo, margin notes lekho, if it is your book. So do that. Ask yourself questions, challenge what is being said in the book. Come up with new ideas, new interpretations, so that the challenge increases. Many, Master Moshaira, onek rokom strategy you have yourself evolved. You have been teaching for many years. As an English language teacher, she told me, she teaches in that Regional Institute of Education, Bhubaneswar, ekhon to National Institute of Education hoye geche na, NIE. She says every year, she's a teacher educator, every year I throw away my notes. Every year I throw away my notes. So I'm challenged to do it all over again this year. Instead of relying, it's very easy to rely on your past notes. You relax. No, don't relax. So she increases the challenge. And as a result, she has become one of the most treasured teacher educators in that NIE. All right. This is a core idea. So these two ideas, we have limited bandwidth. The more you can focus of that 120 bits per second, the more flow you will get. And the flow is a function of challenge and ability. উনি একটা গ্রাফ করে দেখিয়েছেন গ্রাফের এদিকে হাই চ্যালেঞ্জ লো এবিলিটি টেনশন অ্যাংজাইটি লো চ্যালেঞ্জ হাই এবিলিটি বোরডম ইন বিটুইন ইজ দ্য ফ্লো চ্যানেল হাই চ্যালেঞ্জ হাই এবিলিটি দুটো ম্যাচ করে যাচ্ছে অ্যান্ড ইটস ডাইনামিক বিকজ ইউর এবিলিটি কিপস ইনক্রিজিং দ্য চ্যালেঞ্জ কিপস চেঞ্জিং সো ইট ইজ ডাইনামিক ইটস লাইক আ চ্যানেল একটা পয়েন্ট নয় ইট কিপস চেঞ্জিং Another work I want to refer to is new work published recently. It's called Deep Work. It's a book, Deep Work. Cal Newport, he's a professor at MIT. Engineering College, Harvard er pashe ache. And he is well known for his prolific publications. How do you do it? So he wrote a book, Deep Work. What is this idea of deep work? He says, in this day and age, internet juge, it is very important to do deep work. What is deep work? It is rare work and valuable work. Valuable, why? He's giving an example. He says, in this day of this internet, everything is available to everybody all over the world. Bhavun, amader shomoy ki hoto? Music. He gives an example of music. I mean, it's something that we can all relate to, especially the more elderly people here. When we were kids, what kind of music was available to us? Not all music of the world. We have to go to the nearby cassette shop. We had cassette tapes. And whatever is available in that shop, especially I came from a small town, Bhubaneswar, whatever was available there, that's the only thing available to us. Books, what is available to you? What is available in the local bookshop? That is what, before Amazon. Amazon did no more local bookshops. All local bookshops wiped out. But all the books in the world are now available to you. You can shop on internet and find all books. You can go on YouTube and find all music. There are different apps which are available. So now, nobody is limited to the local supply. The whole world is open to you. As a result, what happens is, একটা মারাত্মক consequence. Earlier, because of limited supply, সবাই কিছু না কিছু পেত. Any singer, তার গানের কেউ না কেউ খদ্দের পেয়ে যাবে. Any author, তার বইটা কোথাও না কোথাও বিক্রি হচ্ছে একটু. Now what happens, because everything is available, our time, energy and money are limited, everybody wants the most popular one, the best one. বলছি একটা গান, number of views 1000. আরেকটা গান, number of views 1 billion. 1000 into 1 million. Will you say যে গানটার views 1 billion আর যে গানটার view 1000 সেটা million times better than this গান, than this particular music? হতে পারে না, কোনো জিনিস million times better হতে পারে না. It's because of this new technology. Everything is available. One song is popular, one book is popular, everybody wants to go there. So Cal Newport says, you don't have to be million times better than others. Nobody can be like that. You only have to be a little better than others. In this day and age, you only have to be a little better than others. Your work has to be a little more valuable than others. And then you will have tremendous success in this modern economy, this internet-enabled economy. Just that little bit of edge, you have to do that. And he says this work is rare. It's valuable work and it's rare. Why rare? Again, lack of focus, distraction. এখন deep work-এর যুগ চলে যাচ্ছে, he's saying. সবাই shallow work করছে. That's why this deep work becomes rare and valuable. যে করতে পারবে সে তরতর করে উঠে যাবে. He gives 2 or 3 examples. বাচ্চারা খুব হ্যারি পটার বই পড়ে. So Harry Potter, we know that J.K. Rowling, when she wrote it first, nobody wanted to publish it. But then she became very successful, very rich. But then she had to finish the series. Birat Mota Mota Boy. So the last book in the series, Cal Newport gives this example. She could not finish it. And the publisher deadline diyeche, o to already কত million pounds নিয়ে নিয়েছে publisher কাছ থেকে. So she has to finish that book. বাড়িতে বাচ্চা, she is a single mother. কান্নাকাটি করছে, হইচই করছে, কাজ করতে পারছে না. She was in a hotel at some point and she found sitting in the hotel room she could write. She could not write at home. Then she started coming, hiring the hotel room just to stay there, দরকার নেই কিছু, but just to stay there to write. And in that way she finished. অনেকে জানে না বইটা ওইভাবে শেষ হয়েছে, হোটেল রুম হায়ার করে একা বসে থেকে লিখতেন ওখানে. Very famous example, Bill Gates. We can all relate to it. Newer, younger people can't relate to it. We all learned computers, MS-DOS. Microsoft DOS, disk operating system. When Bill Gates wrote that, the code for that, he says he worked continuously for 2 months, 60 days, continuously. And at those 2 months, he had no fixed hours of sleeping. He had no fixed hours for food. He would always fall asleep on the keyboard. কাজ করতে করতে he would fall asleep on the keyboard, get up and start working again. For 2 months. And that produced this MS-DOS. And his whole basically business empire and model is based on that early success itself. Then he has gone forward. So it is rare work and valuable work, this deep work. কিছু neuropsychology কথা উনি নিয়ে এসেছেন, Cal Newport. He says recent studies have showed concentration actually directly affects the brain. আমরা বায়োলজিতে পড়েছি myelin sheath আছে নিউরনের, myelin sheath, and it helps in the connectivity between the 2 neurons. And he says that there were some reports he has cited, studies. It shows that consistent focused work actually develops the myelin sheath. I'm জানি না এটা কতটা valid, but the actual medical study has quoted, which means that we are actually changing the structure, enhancing the structure of the brain, enhancing our neurons just by focus, actual practice of concentration. What are his recommendations? খুব simple recommendation, 3টে দিয়েছেন. একটা বলছেন, have time for deep work, make it a daily habit. এটা আমার পড়াশোনার সময়, কি ক্লাস প্রিপারেশনের সময়, কিংবা রিসার্চের সময়. And make it a habit, because the body and the brain, the mind, they function on rhythm. So 2 or 3 hours a day, this is my time. Apart from family, apart from class, apart from বাড়ির সংসারের কাজ, সব বাদ দিয়ে এই সময়টা, it is for my study. যদি কোনো স্পেশাল কাজ নাও থাকে, use that time for some kind of study every day. So there is a separate time for deep work. And very interesting addition, he says, have a separate time for distraction. Have a separate time for distraction. Mobile, internet, cinema, গল্প করা, social media, you cannot avoid today. You cannot avoid it. Most people will have to use it. Then he says that use it, but keep a separate time for it. আমাদের কি হয়ে গেছে? It is there, it is spreading throughout the day. অনেকে বলে, ঘুম থেকে উঠে কি ভগবানের নাম করে, ভগবানের নাম আগে মোবাইল, চোখ খোলা পরে মোবাইলে কি এলো দেখি, চোখ ফার্স্ট থিং দর্শন, প্রথমেই চোখ খুলে ঈশ্বর দর্শন, ঠাকুর দেবতার ছবি দেখবো না, মোবাইল চর্চা. It has spread all over our day. It covers 24 hours in a day for us. So he says, Cal Newport says, constrain it. Have a time for social media, for browsing on the net, for YouTube, whatever it is. Have a time. এই 1 ঘন্টা 2 ঘন্টা 3 ঘন্টা, that's it. এর বাইরে আমি available নয়. I read a book called Daily Rituals. Daily Rituals, the habits of work habits of famous writers. One thing I noted, নাম করা অথরদের দেখবেন খুব সুন্দর সুন্দর, তারা কিভাবে লেখেন, কিভাবে কাজ করেন. mostly literature, English literature এর লোক। One thing I noticed, যারা আজকালকার famous writers, they all cut themselves away from social media. They cut themselves away ruthlessly. বিশেষ করে যখন novel টভেল লিখছেন, they simply cut themselves away. ওই that break in concentration they cannot afford. একবার break হয়ে গেলে ওইটা আর ওই কোয়ালিটিটা আসে না। So one common factor for deep work is to have a special time for distraction, a special time for distraction. And third, he gives very great importance to rest. ঘুমানো. Many people do not know how tired they are. আমরা অনেক সময় দেখি guided meditation করার সময় লোকে ঘুমিয়ে পড়ে। The reason they are falling asleep is they are not at the peak of their energy levels. They are mostly operating ওই চাপে পড়ে কাজ করে যাচ্ছে. And many people are deeply tired. So rest, deep rest. Deep work, deep মাঝখানে হচ্ছে separate time for deep work, separate time for distraction, and separate time for deep rest. So these are his recommendations. Powerful concentration can do so much for us. Swami Vivekananda himself, there are extraordinary stories about his concentration. একটা বিএড রিলেটেড ঘটনা বলি। মিরাট থেকে ওখানে বিএড কলেজে একজন অধ্যাপিকা এসেছিলেন আমাদের বিএড কলেজে। She told me a story that Swami Vivekananda had visited Meerut with Swami Akhandananda. At that time, he was not well known. At Meerut Public Library, he used to borrow books from there for reading. Sir John Lubbock, there's a series of books on science. Oti Shushko, Oti boring. Swami Vivekananda would ask, Akhandananda used to go to the library and borrow volume by volume. Swami Vivekananda would read it and return it. Akhandananda would return the book and ask for the next volume. The librarian said, you are not reading these books. আপনি খালি লোক দেখাবার জন্য বইগুলোকে নিয়ে যাচ্ছেন। And so Akhandananda said, it's not for me, it is for my brother, Swami Vivekananda. Jai Hok, whoever it is, they are not reading it. Akhandananda went and reported this to Swamiji. Swamiji বলেন চল দেখি তো। Then he went to the librarian. And then he told the librarian that I have read all the books. You can ask me anything from those books. And the librarian went and bought out the volumes and asked here and there, and Swami Vivekananda replied to all the questions. Now, that lady who had come from Meerut, she said that library is still there, and on top of the librarian's chair, Swami Vivekananda's photo is put there. Similar story, we'll know, more famous incident, here in Belur Math. Swami Vivekananda, in his room, he's reading Encyclopedia Britannica. আজকালকার দিনে তো সব on cloud, website পাওয়া যায়, but you should actually see the volumes, মোটা volume, leather bound volumes. It would occupy a shelf. In those days, that is more impressive. Somehow I feel the actual book more than Kindle or on the net. When the first edition of the Oxford English Dictionary was released, not the single volume, the actual full set, multiple volumes. So the whole set was presented to different libraries in England, and the libraries had to strengthen the shelves. তলায় সাপোর্ট দিতে হয়েছিল, নাহলে শেলফগুলো এরকম বেঁকে যাচ্ছিল ওর ভারে, বইয়ের ভারে। So Sharat Chandra, Swami Vivekananda's disciple, he comes to Swami Vivekananda's room and sees him reading the Encyclopedia Britannica and said, Swamiji, এই এত মোটা বই 10টা ভলিউম তখন ছিল, একটা মানুষ জীবনে পড়তে পারবে না। Swamiji said, what are you saying? I have read 9 volumes, and on the 10th one you can ask me anything from those volumes. It's a famous story. And Sharat Chandra asked questions from different volumes, and Swami Vivekananda answered those questions. Sometimes he says, in some cases down to the actual comma and full stop. And he asked Swami Vivekananda, he said, how is it possible? He said, by concentration and purity, one can achieve this kind of focus. Not just Swami Vivekananda, idaning American hero, Elon Musk. He's actually not American, South African bodhe bhadralok. South African na? Yeah. Chotobela, as a school student, he read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica. Boy, not computer and all that. He read the entire Encyclopedia Britannica. Tremendous powers of concentration. So it is possible. আমি বলছি না যে encyclopedia পড়তে হবে, ওটা একটা ফালতু কাজ, পুরো জিনিসটা পড়া। কিন্তু but that kind of concentration is possible. I have seen, in all cases, Any top, especially top achieving academicians, including Nobel Prize winners, one common thing I've noticed in all of their cases is that power of focus. ওরা যেটাকে ধরে সেটার উপরে পূর্ণ attention দিয়ে কাজ করে. That is one common factor I have seen all throughout. আমার মনে আছে as a kid, my father used to get these big books. তখন অত ইংরেজি পড়তে পারতাম না, but I would see the pictures. So one day my father got home a book on Lord Mountbatten, last Viceroy of India, Lord Louis Mountbatten. এত মোটা বই একটা, তো আমি তো বতে পড়তে পারি না, ছবি দেখছিলাম। এখনো আমার মনে আছে একটা ছবি, জাস্ট ওয়ান পিকচার, লর্ড মাউন্টব্যাটেন 4 কাপ থেকে সসারে ঢালছেন, তলায় লেখা আছে, আই স্টিল রিমেম্বার, দ্য ভাইসরয় পোর্স টি উইথ হিজ ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক কনসেন্ট্রেশন। তার স্বাভাবিক একাগ্রতা নিয়ে তিনি চা ঢালছেন। দিস ইজ অ্যানাদার থিং, দ্যাট কনসেন্ট্রেশন is a habit that is there in every action. শুধু রিসার্চ করার সময়, পড়াশোনার সময় কনসেন্ট্রেশন নয়, everything that I do. Swami Vivekananda gives the key to concentration. How do you develop concentration? He says, do whatever you are doing with the fullest possible attention. Now in the background of Csikszentmihalyi Mihai, in the book Fullest Possible Attention, we understand, ওই 120 bits থেকে যতটা ঢালতে পারো. Do whatever you are doing with the fullest possible attention. Why whatever? আমি যদি সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া করছি, আড্ডা দিচ্ছি, সিনেমা দেখছি, সেখানেও ফুল কনসেন্ট্রেশন কেন দরকার? দ্যাট অলসো স্বামী বিবেকানন্দ রিপ্লাইজ, হি সেজ, রিমেম্বার ইট ইজ দ্য সেম মাইন্ড, ইউ হ্যাভ অনলি ওয়ান মাইন্ড। আমাদের সত্যরূপানন্দ মহারাজ ছিলেন রায়পুরে, ইয়েস পাস্ট আই রিমেম্বার, এখানে বেলুর মঠে বক্তৃতাতে মহারাজ বলেছিলেন টু কলেজ স্টুডেন্টস, ইফ ইউ ইউজ, ইয়োর ফাদার shaves with the razor, if you use that razor to sharpen a pencil, will your father be able to shave with that razor? না, কেন? মোটা হয়ে গেছে, the blade has lost its edge. Similarly, you have only one mind. সারাদিন যদি ছেড়ে দিই যে বাবা যা ইচ্ছে তাই করো, আর যদি সন্ধ্যেবেলা বসে পড়তে, এবার ফিজিক্স করতে হবে, অঙ্ক করতে হবে, সারাদিন নেচে খেলে বেরিয়েছে মনটা, এবার এখন যদি বলো ফিজিক্স করতে হবে, অঙ্ক করতে হলে করবোই না, I'm not interested, it's boring, ছোট বাচ্চার মতন। But if you make a habit of focusing the mind on whatever you're doing, even playing, even talking with a friend, then when you need it to focus on physics or mathematics, it will focus, because that becomes the habit of the mind. Like a small child, it is trained to focus. That is what I have seen in the case of many highly successful academicians, or any profession. They make a habit of focus, a habit of concentration. All right, I have spoken for the time I wanted to speak. Let me just quickly summarize what I said, and then we can take up some question answers. So there is a crisis in concentration. Daniel Goleman says he sees across the spectrum, in childhood, in school, in college, and in corporate sector, in jobs. There are reports coming in that the new generation is suffering from a deficit of attention. And the psychology of concentration we saw, Csikszentmihalyi's book, Flow. He says there's a limited processing capacity, 120 bits per second. As much of that we can focus, that is concentration. And it's a function, flow is a function of ability and challenge, x-axis, y-axis, the ability and challenge. Cal Newport says that concentration leads to deep work, and deep work is most valuable. If you want to succeed, really succeed in this world, you have to produce deep work. It is valuable and rare. Valuable because the new economy makes, even if you give a superior product, book, classroom, গান, যাই করুন, if it's slightly better than others, all attention will be focused on you. And it is rare. Why rare? Because of all this distraction everywhere, people are not producing deep work. Earlier they were doing more deep work. So if you can do deep work, it is really a formula for success in whichever profession we are. And his recommendation was threefold. Make deep work a daily ritual. প্রতিদিন কিছুটা deep work. And put your distractions, social media, etc., within the limits. জেলখানায় ঢুকিয়ে দাও, এই সময় থেকে এই সময় সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া, এর বাইরে নয়, not before, not after. And rest, of course, he has said rest. Tremendous powers of concentration are possible. একটা ছোট জিনিস বলছি যে কিভাবে এই মিহাই চিকজেনমিহাইয়ের যে কাজটা, হাউ ইট এক্সপ্লেন্স কনসেন্ট্রেশন। উই অল নো স্টোরিজ অফ ফরগেটফুল সায়েন্টিস্ট, জগৎ ভোলা আমরা বলি, বিশেষ করে একাডেমিক ওয়ার্ল্ডে দোজ উই নো হু আর ফুলি অ্যাবজর্বড ইন দ্য সাবজেক্ট, উই সে জগৎ ভোলা, বাকি সব তারা ভুলে গেছে। নাও উই আন্ডারস্ট্যান্ড জগৎ ভোলা কেন, because 120 bits per second is what they have, and they're putting most of it on one, focusing on one thing. Nothing much is left over. সারাক্ষণ একটা চিন্তা নিয়ে আছে, অন্য কোনো চিন্তার সময় নেই। দের ইজ নো টাইম, দের ইজ নো ব্যান্ডউইথ লেফট ওভার ফর এনিথিং এলস। There's a story of a famous mathematician, Norbert Wiener, in USA. Norbert Wiener, his story is pretty, it's instructive. So he was a very forgetful, self-forgetful mathematician. Naam kara. So one story is that one day they had changed apartments. Ekta apartment theke uni, onar wife, onar meye onno apartment e geche. And he knew that we had changed. সেদিন আফটার কলেজের থেকে ফিরে ওই পুরোনো অ্যাপার্টমেন্টে গেছে, নতুনটা মনে পড়ছে না কোথায় গেছে। তো সে হি স্ট্যান্ডিং ইন ফ্রন্ট অফ দ্যাট ওল্ড অ্যাপার্টমেন্ট থিঙ্কিং, এখান থেকে আমরা কোথায় গেছি। একটা ছোট বাচ্চা মেয়ে গুড়গুড় করছিল, তাকে বললো যে আচ্ছা বাবা তুমি বলতে পারো এখানে যারা থাকতো তারা কোথায় গেছে। তো লিটল গার্ল সেড, ইয়েস ড্যাডি, মামি সেড ইউ উইল ফরগেট। ও নিজের মেয়েকেও চিনতে পারছে না, আমি তোমাকে নিয়ে যেতে এসেছি, চলো, মা বলেছে তুই ভুলে যাবেই। বাট ওয়াই ডাজ ইট হ্যাপেন? আরেকটা স্টোরি, ফেমাস ম্যাথমেটিশিয়ান, আই ডোন্ট নো ইফ ইটস অ্যাপোক্রিফাল অর ইজ রিয়েল, এত মজার বলছেন, তিনি অফিস থেকে এসছেন, সারাক্ষণ একটা কোনো ম্যাথমেটিক্যাল থিওরামের কথা ভেবে যাচ্ছেন। কোট, মানে ঠান্ডার দেশ তো, কোট পরে টুপি পরে এসছেন, আমব্রেলা নিয়ে, ক্লোক রুমে কোট টুপি আমব্রেলা রেখে বিছানায় যাবেন। উনি আমব্রেলা আর কোট টুপিটাকে বিছানায় রেখে নিজে গিয়ে ক্লোক রুমে দাঁড়িয়ে রইলেন। I don't know how true it is, but I'll tell you a true story. ব্রজেনশীল, ব্রজেন্দ্রনাথ শীল, উনি স্বামী বিবেকানন্দের সিনিয়র ছিলেন, সিনিয়র ছিলেন। তো ব্রজেনবাবুর গল্প, দিস ইজ রিপোর্টেড বাই হিজ স্টুডেন্টস। ওনার স্মৃতিকথায় বেরিয়েছিল একটা বইতে। বলছেন উনি তখন কুচবিহার কলেজের অধ্যক্ষ ছিলেন, আর ইংরেজি পড়াতেন, ইংলিশ পড়াতেন উনি। হোয়াট বিউটিফুল ডেসক্রিপশনস ওনার বিষয়। বলছে একবার আমি দেখছি যে স্যার কলেজে ঢুকেছেন, প্রিন্সিপাল ওনার জন্য কুচবিহারের রাজা এই ঘোড়ার গাড়ি পাঠিয়ে দিতেন, কোচ পাঠিয়ে দিতেন, কলেজে আসবেন। কলেজে ঢুকেছেন, সবাই মুচকি মুচকি হাসছে, কিন্তু কেউ বলতে সাহস করছে না। উনি লম্বা দাঁড়িয়ে ছিল, সে ঋষির মতন দেখতে। তো উনি গম্ভীরভাবে টিচার্স কমন রুমে গেলেন, সবাই মুচকি মুচকি হাসছে, কেউ বলতে পারছে না। তো একজন গিয়ে বলল, স্যার আপনার চাদরটা দেখছেন। উনি চাদর পরে ভুলে গেছেন, ধুতি পাঞ্জাবি আর মশারিটাকে পরে চলে এসছেন। আরেকটা ঘটনা, ওনারই ছাত্র লিখেছেন, সো ইন্টারেস্টিং। হচ্ছে সকালবেলা আমি হাঁটতে বেরিয়েছি, আমার সেদিন পরীক্ষা, আমি ভোরবেলা উঠেছি, হাঁটছি, তো স্যারের বড় বাড়ি কুচবিহারের মহারাজা দিয়েছেন, সে বাড়ির দেখলাম যে দরজাতে ল্যাম্প বসানো আছে, সেইখানে স্যার দাঁড়িয়ে আছেন। সেই আগে গতকাল যে ড্রেস পরেছিলেন, ওই ফর্মাল ড্রেস, ধুতি পাঞ্জাবি শল পরা, ওইখানে চুপ করে দাঁড়িয়ে আছেন। তাহলে কিছু দুর্ঘটনা হলো, এত ভোরবেলা দাঁড়িয়ে আছেন ওখানে, একা, কেউ নেই। উনি ছুটে গেছেন, বলছেন স্যার কিছু হয়েছে, কিছু অসুবিধা হয়েছে? বলছেন যে যেন ঘোর কাটলো একটা। উনি চমকে উঠে বলছেন, ও না না না, নাথিং রং মাই বয়, when I came home this packet of books had arrived. সে অ্যামাজনের কত আগে বইয়ের প্যাকেট, মাঝে মাঝে মোটা মোটা বইয়ের প্যাকেট বিদেশ থেকে আসতো ওনার জন্য। দিস প্যাকেট অফ বুকস had arrived, দরজার বাইরে ছিল। আমি ওখানে খুলে বইটা বার করে, ওনার এত ইন্টারেস্টিং লাগছে, পড়তে আরম্ভ করেছেন। ওইখানে ল্যাম্প আছে বলে সারা রাত দাঁড়িয়ে দাঁড়িয়ে পড়ে গেছেন, ওখানে সকাল হয়ে গেছে। সো দিস ইজ কেন এটা হয়। এই ফোকাস থাকলে জগৎ ভোলা অটোমেটিক্যালি, ইটস নেসেসারি, ইটস ইনএভিটেবল। 120 বিটস পার সেকেন্ড, আমি 80, 90, 100 বিটস যদি ওই বইটাতে দিয়ে দিলাম, কত সময় যাচ্ছে, কোথায় আছি, এভরিথিং ইউ উইল ফরগেট। আমার শরীর, আমার ক্লান্তি আসছে কিনা, ইউ উইল ফরগেট দ্যাট অলসো। অ্যান্ড দ্যাট উই হ্যাভ সিন মেনি অ্যাকাডেমিশিয়ান, অনেক মহারাজদের ক্ষেত্রেও আমি দেখেছি, তন্ময় হয়ে গেলে। আচ্ছা, এটা কি ক্লান্তিকর নয়? এটা কি বোরিং নয়? নট এট অল। আমি একবার আইআইটি, তখন আমেরিকা যাওয়ার আগে আইআইটি কানপুরে আমি লাইব্রেরিতে বসে থাকতাম, ওয়ান অফ দ্য বেস্ট আইআইটিস, অর মেবি দ্য বেস্ট আইআইটি ইন আওয়ার কান্ট্রি। লাইব্রেরিতে বসে দেখতাম ছেলেমেয়েরা কী করে পড়ছে। ওরা আমি দেখছি সকালবেলা আমি গিয়ে বসছি, ছেলেগুলো বসে আছে ওখানে পড়ছে, আমি একটু গেলাম স্নান টান করে খেটে এসে বসলাম, সেই একই ছেলে মেয়েগুলো ওখানে একই জায়গায় বসে পড়ে যাচ্ছে 7-8 ঘন্টা। আমি বললাম ছাত্রদের, আই এম ভেরি ইমপ্রেসড, এইভাবে পড়াশোনা করছে। তো ছাত্ররা বললো এটা তো কিছুই নয় মহারাজ, ইফ ইউ কাম ডিউরিং এক্সামিনেশন টাইমস ইউল সি আর্লি মর্নিং ছেলে এসে বসে গেল ওখানে, স্টুডেন্টরা পড়লো সারাদিন, দুপুরে খেলো কি খেলো না জানে না, সন্ধ্যাবেলা খেলো কি খেলো না জানে না, তার সারা রাত পড়লো, সকালবেলা ওই লাইব্রেরির বাথরুমে মুখ ধুয়ে চলে গেল পরীক্ষা দিতে। এখন এটা কি বোরিং হবে না? না, বোরিং নয়। মিহাই চিকজেনমিহাই এক্সপ্লেইনস, এটা ফ্লো স্টেট এসে যায়। ইফ আই কাট অফ এভরিথিং এলস, একটাতে ফোকাস করে টেনে ধরে রাখি আমি অ্যাটেনশনটা, আফটার সাম টাইম আ ফ্লো স্টেট কামস, আনন্দ হবে তখন, একদম তন্ময় হয়ে গেলে, ফ্লো এসে গেলে, তন্ময় ইজ আ ভেরি গুড টার্ম অ্যান্ড সাইকোলজিক্যালি ভেরি ডিপ টার্ম। তন্ময় হয়ে গেলে আনন্দ হয়, দের ইজ আ জয় উইচ কামস আউট অফ ফ্লো স্টেট। ফ্লো স্টেটের 10টা ক্যারেক্টারিস্টিক বলেছেন মিহাই চিকজেনমিহাই। ইট ইজ আ ভেরি স্যাটিসফাইং স্টেট, ইটস আ পিক স্টেট, পিক এক্সপিরিয়েন্স ম্যাজলোর কথাতে। তো ওই যে ছাত্রগুলো পড়ছে তাদের কিন্তু বোরিং লাগছে না, তাদের বিচ্ছিরি লাগছে না, তাদের আনন্দ হচ্ছে। আর fulfillment, it's a deep kind of wellness that comes if you spend several hours at one task. আমি আরেকটা ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং কলেজে গেলাম, আমি বলবো না, প্রাইভেট ইঞ্জিনিয়ারিং কলেজের নাম বলবো না। তো সেখানে আমাকে দেখাতে নিয়ে গেল, ক্লাসের পর, বক্তৃতার পরে ক্লাসে ঘুরিয়ে দেখছি সব ফাঁকা, বিরাট কম্পিউটার ডিপার্টমেন্ট, সব ফাঁকা। বললাম এখানে আপনারা কি ক্লাসের পরে অ্যালাউ করেন না? তো মাস্টারমশাইরা বললো হ্যাঁ আমরা অ্যালাউ করি, যে কেউ এসে কাজ করতে পারে, কিন্তু কেউ নেই তো, লাইব্রেরি ফাঁকা, কম্পিউটার, ও সব বেড়াতে গেছে। তো বেড়াতে বেরিয়ে গেছে সব। তো ছাত্রদের যখন আমি বললাম যে দেখো, দ্য ডিফারেন্স বিটুইন ইয়োর কলেজ অ্যান্ড আইআইটি কানপুর, ইটস নট দ্যাট তাদের ফ্যাসিলিটি অনেক বেটার, আমাদের ফ্যাসিলিটি ভালো নয়, আমাদের ফ্যাসিলিটিও যথেষ্ট ভালো। ইটস নট দ্যাট তাদের দারুণ মাস্টারমশাই, আমাদের মাস্টারমশাই ওরকম অত ভালো না, নট এট অল। ডিফারেন্স ইজ দিস, তারা ফোকাসড হয় আওয়ার আফটার আওয়ার, ডে আফটার ডে, দে আর পারসুইং সামথিং, একটা সাবজেক্ট, একটা বই, একটা সাম স্টাডি মেটেরিয়াল। আর তোমরা ভাবছো তোমরা একটু পড়লে কোনো রকমে শেষ করে নাক টিপে ক্লাসটা হয়ে গেল, এবার ছুটলে, এবার একটু বেড়াতে যাবো, একটু বাইকে ঘুরবো, একটু বসে আড্ডা দেবো, একটু সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া করবো। এখন তো আরও বেশি বেড়ে গেছে ওগুলো, তখন ছিল না তো। দিস ইজ দ্য ডিফারেন্স, দিস ইজ ওয়ান ডিফারেন্স, আমি বলছি না সব ডিফারেন্স, দিস ইজ আ ভেরি ইম্পর্টেন্ট ডিফারেন্স বিটুইন সাকসেস অ্যান্ড ফেলিয়ার, অ্যাট লিস্ট ইন অ্যাকাডেমিক লাইফ। ফোকাস ইজ আ ক্রুশিয়াল ফ্যাক্টর। থ্যাংক ইউ ভেরি মাচ। নমস্কার। এখানে মাইক দিলে you can just line up in a queue. হ্যাঁ, you can line up in a queue. হ্যাঁ, all right, don't be shy. এখানে মাইক দেওয়া হচ্ছে, just come forward here, tell us your name, a little bit কি করছেন, and then ask the question. আর পুলিশ ডাকতে না হয় যাতে প্রশ্ন, এই সামনে, হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ ওইখানে ব্যাস। Come here, come to the front. Ask question, yes. Tell us your name and ask the question. And what are you doing here?
Pranam Maharaj, I am Rajat Gaur, and we are truly blessed to have you here today. Absorbing your words of wisdom is really a great opportunity. So my question is that how can we experience the existence of whom we are worshipping? The slightest of signs that our prayers are being heard. I'm not questioning about whether the Almighty's will to answer them or not, but the satisfaction that they are being heard. So that was my question.
Question is that how can we
experience the existence of whom we are worshipping, whether
yes.
the God is...
In the beginning I said it's not a Vedanta talk, it's a talk on concentration or focus. But let me answer the question in brief. All the 4 yogas will lead us to an experience of the divine. Meditation leads to an experience of the divine. Devotion, firm faith, bhakti, that leads to an experience of the divine. Then jnana, an inquiry into who am I, that leads to an experiential understanding of the divine. And karma also. Spiritualizing our action, that also leads to an experience of the divine. So answer to your question is, the 4 yogas, Jnana Yoga, Bhakti Yoga, Raja Yoga and Karma Yoga, all are methodologies, are pathways to experiencing the divine, the existence of the divine. Thank you. Ashwin, please come. Onnora ja jigesh korbe, you can come and line up, don't wait. Come and line up.
যারা কোশ্চেন জিজ্ঞেস করবে প্লিজ কাম ইন দ্য ফ্রন্ট রো
একটা লাইনে দাঁড়িয়ে পড়ুন
ফার্স্ট অর সেকেন্ড রো দেয়ার আর সিটস ভ্যাকেন্ট
Please tell us your name and tell us what you're doing and ask the question.
Pranam Swamiji, I'm Subham, I'm a neuroscience researcher at CIP Ranchi and
Where are you?
I'm from Central Institute of Psychiatry Ranchi.
Central Institute of Psychiatric?
Ranchi.
Central Institute of Psychiatry,
yeah, I'm
Ranchi.
also
Yes.
a PhD student from Niemans.
Right, from Niemans. I was at your alma mater there
I've been
last
listening
week.
to a talk.
Yes, I was
and,
at Niemans.
all my understanding of consciousness is from you. I've been listening to you for last 2 years and it has been a great blessing to have you in my life. So it has changed my life dramatically, so I cannot explain all of it in this gathering. Still, I just have a question on, since this talk is on focus and concentration, I'll be with the context. So I have many questions about consciousness, maybe I'll talk about it later. So meditation has been a great life-changing event in my life. So, so far as focus and attention is concerned, like you have been mentioning about the flow state, it has been greatly rewarding and all. So same feeling also I get in meditation when I do. So, but thing is, meditation is like focusing on some formless object, and when I engage in work state, I can contribute my work, or flow state, I can contribute to my work better. So, can flow state be a replacement of meditation? Okay, so how do you see meditation in combating this mental health crisis and lack of concentration? So do we need to focus, channelize our resources on meditation, or just attending or contributing to the flow state, or training people
I
to
understand
attend flow
what
state?
you're saying. I'll just make a couple of observations on it.
Yeah.
Mihai Csikszentmihalyi actually mentions meditation. He says that in his research on flow, he has surveyed the literature on attention, concentration across the world in different civilizations, different periods of history. And he says the best manual on flow is, he says there's an ancient Indian text called the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. And he has given nearly 2 pages, he describes Patanjali Yoga Sutra in that book, Flow. And he says this is the most sophisticated development of training of attention. But he also notices, he also remarks there that it is difficult to take meditation up to the level of flow. To attain flow in meditation is difficult because in meditation you are shutting out the external world. In meditation you are quietening the body. In meditation you are reducing sensory functions, taking attention away from sensory inputs. Then you are reducing the activity of the mind also, focusing on one thing. You are dealing with attention itself, bare attention, without the help of the body or the external world. That's why it's a little difficult to control at that level. That's why in Patanjali Yoga Sutras also you will see meditation, dhyana, is the 7th limb of 8 limbs of Ashtanga Yoga. Yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana. Dharana is ekagrata or focus. That translates into meditation. So focus to meditation is equal to focus to flow. Meditation means flow is already achieved and you are holding on, and that too internally, without externally playing badminton or anything like that. So it is not easy. However, it is very conducive to flow. In fact, flow and meditation, flow should be there in meditation. Otherwise, it's not meditation. It becomes dharana then, a struggle. Is it helpful for mental health? Yes, certainly. But you are doing psychiatry, you know that always it need not be helpful. Especially those who are mentally a little, I will not say ill, mentally distressed. For them, meditation sometimes may be harmful. It may be better to be engaged in work or in social interaction, some engagement with society. One psychiatrist here, Dr. Uday Raichaudhuri, he mentioned in a conference, he was saying that these models of human excellence, see, One example he gave was Stephen Hawking, his devastated body, sitting on a wheelchair, but his mind is absolutely active. So even in that circumstance of deeply poor health, in that also he can achieve excellence through mind. And just another case, just the opposite. He gave the example of John Nash. A Beautiful Mind movie was made. He was actually at Princeton, where I mentioned, and he died recently, just a few years back, unfortunately, in a car crash. But mentally ill, deeply schizophrenic, and yet he attained excellence. So mental problems, physical problems, both, even if they are there, one through the practice of concentration, flow, absorption in something, one can inevitably achieve great things. So that is possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
ওপরে একটা প্রশ্ন জবাব দিই।
আচ্ছা উপরে, yes, the first floor. One question to first floor. Two questions from the first floor.
Tell us your name and what you are studying.
Greetings, Maharaj. I am Anamitra Chaudhuri. I am studying chemistry honors in Vidyamandira. Maharaj, you told us so many things about how to focus our minds. Maharaj, I always keep on procrastinating. I am an overthinker. When I'm sitting in the study hall and when I'm like reading, I keep thinking, oh my God, I'm not doing something right, something is wrong, there is always something wrong. How to get rid of this? I mean, I just couldn't figure it out.
One good advantage is because you are in Vidyamandir, you have a routine. A routine helps you to overcome procrastination because you don't have too much freedom. So, study time, you have to do studies. Now, you are bound. From this time to this time, you have to focus. Now, use these techniques of focus. I am going to work on this assignment or book or whatever I am reading. Mind is procrastinating, I could be doing something better, I could be doing this or that, should I do this or that? What does it mean? Now you can use the material we learned. Why is the mind doing that? That means part of that 120 bits per second is being used for that, right? That means some part of it, the mind is still free. It is free to think of something else. That means that as much of that 120 bits per second you can take and focus on the book which you are reading. Why is it not happening? Well, in that case, what can you do? You can increase the challenge. If I were in your place, I would start doing active reading. Keep myself so busy with that work or the task. Read that portion, underline, take notes, review it. There will be no time left over. Before you know it, study time will be over. If I don't engage fully with the material, study material, some part of my cognitive bandwidth will be free, and then it will procrastinate and think of dozen different things. Does that make sense to you?
Yes, Maharaj.
Thank you.
Another question for the first floor. Then we'll again come to the ground.
এদিকে কারা বসে আছে?
Hey,
এদিকে কারা বসে আছে? Visitors, okay.
Maharaj, hello.
Yes.
So Maharaj, I am Ujjwal Chaudhuri. I am reading in RKMberry in Big Data Analytics. So Maharaj, my question is how to stay motivated in that flow state. I mean, during the examination time, so sometimes you can reach the flow state.
Yes.
But not in the other times.
Not at all times, it's true.
Yes, yes.
Flow state cannot be maintained at all times, but the more you maintain it, the better for you. The more the mind will get used to that flow state. So, the same, I would say, think about it, that I have this much cognitive bandwidth. How can I focus on a particular study material, increase the challenge? In most cases, our mind wanders, that's the problem. One way of tying down the mind is to increase the challenge and then hold it there. Of course, motivation is very important. One way is, একটা জিনিস ভালো লাগলে, if you love a subject, if you love a particular thing, it's not very difficult. Suppose you love math or statistics or whatever it is, then it's not very difficult to remain focused. But I'll mention here, there was this educational researcher, his name is Toyama, Kentaro Toyama, Toyama. He wrote a book, The Geek Heresy. And I heard a talk he gave at the University of Michigan, Ann Arbor, a few years ago. Brilliant man. He has got double PhDs from Ivy League universities and is very unpopular in Silicon Valley. You know what he said? He said all this IT which we are using, all the companies are promoting IT for, like computers, social media, for education, computer labs and all that, and we are all doing it. He said it's not necessary. He asked the audience, all of you use computers and phones? He said, yes. And all of us, at this age at least, we learned it later in our age to use it. Was it difficult to learn? Everybody said no. These things, these phones and all, they have been made with a lot of effort, they have been made easy to use. So it's not necessary. He's talking about school kids, of course, not college kids. It's not necessary to give all these gadgets to school kids, he says. And the companies in Silicon Valley are very annoyed with him. Yeah. That's why he wrote this book, Geek Heresy. The geek heresy means that this whole hard selling of IT technology for education for children, he says not necessary. Then what is necessary is an answer to your question. He said, in my observation of school children, he worked in India for some time also. In observation of school children in India and observation of school children in the United States, I found what is key for success in school education, he says, is a work ethic. Is a work ethic, not even motivation, not even love for the subject. Because love for the subject, a person may not have love for all subjects, very difficult. A person may have love for one subject, and in one subject also there will be only some areas you like, other areas you may not like. So what will sustain you, what will guarantee success in academics is a work ethic. Work ethic means the study which I am doing, the books which I am reading, the assignments which I turn in, the work which I do, I will do it to a high level of excellence because that's who I am. My standards of work are at that level. I will not go below that level. So I asked him that, then how do you teach this to children? And he laughed. He's a Japanese American. He laughed and he said, I have got two kids and I wish I knew the answer to that question. I don't know the answer to that question, but that is, he says that is definitely the key. So you have to make a work ethic for yourself that I will not compromise on my work. That is more important than motivation. Motivation may or may not be there sometimes. Okay, thank you.
Pranam Maharaj, I am Moni Shankar Bag, currently doing my joint MTech PhD at IIT KGP.
Yes.
My question is that you are telling us difference between extraordinary person and the ordinary person is just the focus, how much focus we are putting on and on which thing we are putting our focus.
How much and what, correct.
What? Now, my question is that sometimes I feel it's my own life that I am studying all days and every time I thought I can achieve my or I can putting my effort more than what I am putting now or currently. Now, at the same time, this thought come in my mind, if I go out and play sometime, little bit, half an hour or 1 hour, I can give more power on my study. So what should I do on that particular time?
Oh, go out and play. Cal Newport, did you not hear that? What he said? He said that break is important for concentration. So continuous work, and if you keep on adding more work hours, then the payoff from that, it's a steeply declining curve. So you must refresh yourself, because the kind of work that you people do in IITs and top level education and research institutes, you work very hard. So you must give a little break. And all companies, I've seen nowadays is a new thing. Of course, all of you, we are working in IT and all those who have seen, they know it's very common, but for us it's very new. The Google, Facebook, Oracle, those headquarters, they look like very relaxed, bright colors, nice food, places for sleeping. What they have decided is they will make the office as comfortable as possible so that you don't want to go back, then you'll work more, and so they can get more out of you. But that means you need comfort. You need some relaxation. You need some breaks. Otherwise, hard work is not possible. So that depends on where you are. If life is mostly full of breaks, then I will say no, focus more. And life is too hard, you're working too hard, you need breaks.
Thank you.
Tell us your name and what you're doing.
Pranam Maharaj. I am Sagnika Sahu. Now I am serving as assistant professor in Department of B.Ed, Vijay Krishna Girls College, Howrah. It's like listening to you directly, like dreams come true for me. My question is, I don't know whether it is directly related to your topic focus, but you said that the historic failure of education system is that it is no longer goal-oriented or life-oriented, and it does not give us value-oriented, and it does not give us the way or guide us what should be our purpose in life. So, as a teacher educator, what should be my role so that I can make it life-oriented, or how we can mold the education system so that it can be more life-oriented?
Right. Swami Vivekananda gave 3 tests of truth. I'll tell you that. 3 tests of truth. If something is true, how do we know? And true means not in a logical sense or mathematical sense, for our life. What is real, what is good, what is valuable, what is true. So he says, anything that makes you strong, that is truth. Anything that makes you weak, you reject it as poison. First test, strength. Does it give you strength or not? Strength means physical, emotional, mental, intellectual, moral, spiritual strength. All, at all levels. Second is, he says that that which makes us selfless is true. He says unselfish. He uses the word unselfish. That which makes you selfish is false. So reject that which is selfish. Promote that which is unselfish, selflessness. Third, he says that which brings us together, unity, that is true. That which tends to divide us, that is false. So test of truth is strength, it is selflessness, it is unity. Anything that promotes weakness, that leads to selfishness, that leads to disunity, that should be rejected. Now these are some values by which you can guide people. It does not have to be any particular religion or any, we cannot, and we should not also in a secular institution. But I have reminded Dr. Radhakrishnan, how beautifully he mentioned in that section in University Education Commission, that he's saying the Constitution of India does not prevent us from an academic study of religion, nor does it even prevent us from teaching the universal broad values which are found in all the religions. And he says this should be taught. উনি তো সিলেবাসও করিয়ে দিয়েছিলেন, ফার্স্ট ইয়ার, সেকেন্ড ইয়ার, থার্ড ইয়ার করে সিলেবাসও করে দিয়েছিলেন। সো religion used to give us these values, but we can take those values from religion and make it part of the teaching in education without any focus on a particular religion. Thank you.
Thank you.
First floor. Yes, 2 questions from first floor.
ঠিক আছে, জিজ্ঞেস করুন।
Maharaj, extremely happy and
Tell us your name.
This is Saurya Dipto Bhattacharya, Shurja Dipto Bhattacharya. I am extremely happy and grateful that we are having you here. So I have 3 questions. First is that
Okay, start with 1.
yeah, the first is that we are talking about emotional quotient and intelligent quotient. So there is something called intuition that our rishis and yogis have followed. Now, how do we develop that intuition, which is currently, we don't see it within our students, or maybe even as teachers, we don't see that intuition working good for us? I mean, is there any role of focus or some attention that helps us to develop that intuition? A related question is that there is something called a gut feeling. Now, is that something which is related to the intuition, or is it completely different, or it's not true at all?
It's really a good question. 2 things I'll mention here. One is intelligence quotient, IQ, true. Then more important for success in life, for flourishing in human life, is emotional quotient, EQ. Then there's a question about spiritual quotient. This has also come up, SQ. I think the person who worked on it, Zohar, Z-O-H-A-R, Danny Zohar. But you know what I'll say to that is, what they call spiritual quotient, if you look at that, that's also part of psychology. what we understand as spirituality would be something of a higher spirituality, which is developed by Jnana Yoga, Raja Yoga, Bhakti Yoga also, Karma Yoga. And that leads to the development of this higher intuition, gut feeling or instinct. Gut feeling instinct is at a lower level. This higher intuition, which leads to breakthroughs in science, for example, which leads to extraordinary works of art and literature, for example, and even higher than that, spiritual insight. This can be developed by these yogas. It's something a little higher than that's so-called spiritual quotient. Now, addressing what you said about the gut feeling, the training of that, I'll just mention it's a big, big area. Why? Recently, the Nobel Prize was awarded to Daniel Kahneman, who worked on this. There's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow. Thinking Fast and Slow. He is a mathematician, but he worked in this area. It's actually an area of psychology and statistics on fast thinking, which is a kind of intuitive thinking. And he says usually that gets us into trouble. And the slow thinking means using data-based thinking. I can't really summarize his work, but it's worth going through that book, Thinking Fast and Slow.
Next question.
এখান থেকে জিজ্ঞেস করবেন না কোত্থেকে? He has been raising his hand for a long time. Yes, just give the microphone to him.
I will be, can I ask in Bengali? Only
Yes,
one question.
জিজ্ঞেস করুন।
My name is Nirman. I am a civil services aspirant. So my question is যে আমরা স্বীয় জীবনে পূর্ণ একাগ্রতার অভ্যাস কিভাবে শুরু করতে পারি? এটাই আমার একটু প্রশ্ন।
কিভাবে শুরু করতে পারি? That right now, right here, make, as Swami Vivekananda said, do whatever you are doing with the fullest possible attention. এই যে শুনছি, fullest possible attention. কিভাবে বসছি, fullest possible attention. We are not even aware that আমাদের posture কি, moment to moment আমাদের মন কোথায় যাচ্ছে. We are not even aware. আমাদের সেই valuable cognitive resources we are using up. We are so aware of how we are using our money, but how little we are aware of how we are using our time, especially our attention. আমরা ওটা একটা কথা আছে না, আমাদের ছোটবেলা থেকে মাস্টারমশাইরা সবসময় বলতেন পে অ্যাটেনশন, পে অ্যাটেনশন। আমরা হচ্ছে পে শব্দটা তো আমরা তো সাধারণত টাকা পয়সার বিষয় বলি, বাট ইটস ট্রু, ইটস ভেরি ভ্যালুয়েবল। অ্যাটেনশন ইজ ভেরি ভ্যালুয়েবল। উই হ্যাভ অনলি লিমিটেড অ্যাটেনশন এভরি সেকেন্ড, 120 বিটস অফ ইনফরমেশন প্রসেসড পার সেকেন্ড। সেটা কোথায় খরচ করছি, আমরা অ্যাকচুয়ালি খরচ করছি ওটাকে, আর সেটা না জানতে খরচ হয়ে যাচ্ছে আমাদের বেশিরভাগ সময়। সো স্টার্ট রাইট নাও, অ্যান্ড দেন ওয়েন ইউ টেক আপ, there are many ways of focusing. One important thing is to cut out everything else. যখন আমি ফোকাস করব, যে বলে আমি শাট ডাউন দি সোশ্যাল মিডিয়া, ফোন, জাস্ট শাট ইট ডাউন। আমি দেখবো না তাও না, জাস্ট শাট ইট ডাউন। আমি জানি যে ওখানে আর বাজবে না, ফোনটা তো অফ হয়ে গেছে, এবার আই উইল কনসেন্ট্রেট। আমাদের উই হ্যাভ বিন ট্রেন্ড ইন সাচ এ ওয়ে, আ পার্ট অফ আওয়ার মাইন্ড ইজ অলরেডি কানেক্টেড টু দ্য ফোন। এই হচ্ছে মুশকিল। সো দিজ আর সাম ওয়েজ, many ways. You just read the book, this Flow, Deep Work, যদি পড়েন, Deep Work, that book. সিভিল সার্ভিস অ্যাসপিরেন্ট মানে প্রচণ্ড খাটতে হবে, বেশ কয়েকদিন, হয়তো 1 বছর 2 বছর ধরে খাটতে হবে। দ্যাট ইট সেলফ উইল ট্রেন ইউ ইন অ্যাটেনশন। কিপ অফ ইউর হেলথ, ওই টাইম ফর ডিপ ওয়ার্ক, টাইম ফর ডিস্ট্রাকশন, দ্যাট মিনস বিগিনিং অ্যান্ড এন্ড, এর বাইরে ডিস্ট্রাকশন নয়, অ্যান্ড টাইম ফর রেস্ট। ক্যাল নিউপোর্টের বই থেকে 3টে রেকমেন্ডেশন।
প্রণাম মহারাজ, অন্যান্য মহারাজদেরকে আমার প্রণাম জানাচ্ছি। আজকে যে কথাটা
Tell us your name and what you're doing.
আমি বিজয়লক্ষ্মী, আমি একজন ডিজিটাল আর্টিস্ট। মহারাজ, আজকে বক্তৃতার মধ্যে যে কথাটা বললেন স্বামী শিষ্য সংবাদ থেকে, যে স্বামীজির একাগ্রতা এবং ব্রহ্মচর্যের কথাটা যে উঠলো, সবসময় এই কথাটাই শোনা যায়, কিন্তু তার পরের কথাটা কখনো শুনতে পাই না। শরৎচন্দ্র চক্রবর্তী বলেছিলেন যে শুধুমাত্র ব্রহ্মচর্য বা একাগ্রতা হলে এই জিনিসটা হয় না। স্বামীজি তখন নিরুত্তর ছিলেন। আমি একজন সর্বত্যাগীর পয়েন্ট অফ ভিউ থেকে জিনিসটা শুনতে চাই, যে এই জিনিসটা কি আমার অনেক দিনের ইচ্ছে।
It is true that it's not enough that you will attain levels of concentration of Swami Vivekananda or someone like, say, Einstein or somebody like that, Godel or somebody, just by some technique, I mean, flow, kimba, deep work, pore niye otaকে apply korle. But my point here is, আমাদের এখন যা স্তর, যা অবস্থা, তার থেকে অনেকটা ইমপ্রুভমেন্ট হতে পারে। So the level of concentration we have now, that can be improved significantly, and that will give immediate results in our life. আমি হয়তো বিবেকানন্দের মতন করতে পারি না, এমনকি আমি ইলন মাস্কের মতন হয়তো আমি পুরো এনসাইক্লোপিডিয়া ব্রিটানিকা পড়ে দিতে পারি না, হ্যাঁ, হয়তো আমাদের সেই বয়সও নেই এখন, ছোটোবেলায় যে উৎসাহ ছিল। কিন্তু এখন এই মুহূর্তে আমার যা লেভেল অফ কনসেন্ট্রেশন, তার থেকে ডেফিনেটলি আই ক্যান ইমপ্রুভ, এফার্ট দিলেই ইমপ্রুভ করে যাবে।
সেই হিসাবে মহারাজ সংস্কারটাকে কিভাবে আমরা মানে জয় করে ফোকাসের দিকে এগিয়ে যেতে পারি, জাস্ট
ডোন্ট ওয়ারি অ্যাবাউট সংস্কার, এফার্ট ইজ ইম্পর্টেন্ট। আমার যাই সংস্কার থাক, ওটা আই ক্যানট ডু এনিথিং অ্যাবাউট ইট, I have to make an effort right now. সংস্কার খারাপ থাকলে struggle will be more, সংস্কার ভালো থাকলে struggle will be less, but no effort is wasted. ওই এফর্ট থেকে আস্তে আস্তে সংস্কার পাল্টে যায়।
ধন্যবাদ মহারাজ।
Time is limited, we have to go for the next session, postal session.
So just these two questions.
To two questions, two more questions, please.
My pranamas and greetings to all of you on the panel. My name is Shubham Chakraborty. I've done my master's in comparative literature from Jadavpur University, and currently I'm trying to land a PhD. So while alluding to Cal Newport's book, Deep Work, you said that one should distract oneself on purpose.
No,
and
limit one's distractions consciously, deliberately. We are already getting distracted, inevitably.
No, I mean...
limit it. If you can prevent it altogether, great, but you cannot, very difficult. So limit it.
Okay. Or maintain a certain distraction hour, if I may.
Right. Not beyond those hours. The whole purpose of the hour is not to distract you, is to limit the distraction so that the mind gets used to concentration.
Right. So I have a small question, that is, what if we choose not to compress my distraction time into one whole, say like an hour or so, and choose to break up into chunks of minutes and spread it over the day? Would that work?
Yes, that would also work. But remember, it takes time to recover from distraction. যেটা আমরা আগে আমিও জানতাম না, it takes a lot of time to come back to deep concentration. So be careful about that.
Okay, thank you.
Next question. And this will be the last question for the question answer session. Please.
Thank you for giving me this opportunity. I am Jhuma Dharnath. I am a teacher and I am in this training program.
Excellent.
In service training program. প্রথমে আমি আমার অন্তরের শ্রদ্ধা জানাচ্ছি আপনাদের সকলকে। আমার খুব জানতে ইচ্ছা করলো মহারাজ আপনার কাছে যে ইংরাজি ভাষাটা আগে একটা সময় ওয়ার্ল্ডকে রুল করত, এখন পুরো ওয়ার্ল্ড এটাকে নিজের মতো করে গ্রহণ করে নিয়েছে নিজের প্রয়োজনের তাগিদে। তো আমার জানতে ইচ্ছা করছে যে যারা পৃথিবীতে অনেক শক্তিশালী দেশ আছে, কিন্তু কারো নিজের মাতৃভাষা এত দূর পর্যায়ে উঠতে এখনও পারেনি, পৃথিবী এতটা এগিয়ে এসেছে। অনেক অনেক রাশিয়া, জাপান, অনেক অনেক ডেভেলপড কান্ট্রি আছে, অনেক রিচ কান্ট্রি আছে, কিন্তু ইংরাজি, হাউ দ্য ইংলিশ পিপল হুজ মাদার টাং ইজ ইংলিশ, how they focus on their own language, that it is so enriched and we are all one kind of forced to use and learn this language. This is my question.
Right. It's a good question. Immediate and easy answer, of course, is coloniality, colonial impact of a colonial power because of the British Empire and everything. But definitely it's true. It's become the language of international commerce, transaction, of education all over the world. Now, one more thing is that the English language is open-ended. As you said, it has been adapted. এখানে আমরা ইংরেজি একরকম বলি, Indian English. I was not aware of it. If you stay in the United States, for example, after some time you begin to hear it. We are used to our accent, right? So we don't really hear it. When we speak in English, it's normal for us. But it's clearly an Indian accent that you begin to hear in a different context if you're in England or in USA. I was noticing in Singapore, in Shanghai International Airport, when the announcements are being made, it's difficult to understand. It's in English. There's a heavy Chinese accent there. But they all adapted. Some Chinese words are put in there, or Malay words are put into English in Singapore. In India, in different parts of India. আমরা বলি না মজা করে বেঙ্গলিশ, লাঠি চার্জ, এসব অনেক কিছু কথা। একজন মহারাজ, এরকম অনেক ঘটনা আছে। একজন মহারাজ আমাদের বলেন, উনি সাউথ আফ্রিকাতে বক্তৃতা দিচ্ছেন, খুব সিরিয়াস একটা কথা বলছেন যে একজন পার্সন হু ইজ ক্রিটিক্যালি ইল, তার সঙ্গে দেখা করতে গেছেন, সবাই মন দিয়ে শুনছে, খুব কষ্টের ব্যাপার, দুঃখের ব্যাপার, সে মারা যাবেন কিছুক্ষণ পরে, সেই যার সঙ্গে দেখা করতে গেছেন সেই গল্পটা বললেন, আমি এরকম কথা বলছি, তারপরে দ্যাট পার্সন এক্সপায়ার্ড। যেই বলেছেন এক্সপায়ার্ড, অডিয়েন্সে সবাই হো করে হেসে উঠেছে। মহারাজ বললেন, এটা হাসার কি আছে, তো মারা গেল তো লোকটা। বলছে না না, এক্সপায়ার্ডের মানে হচ্ছে আমাদের এখানে শুধু ভেজিটেবল আর ওষুধ এক্সপায়ার করে যায়, মানুষ এক্সপায়ার করে না। পার্সন ডায়েড, পাস্ট অ্যাওয়ে। তো এটা এগুলো আমাদের ইউজেস, বাট হোয়াট আই এম সেইং ইজ ইংলিশ is infinitely adaptable. ফোকাস ওদের অতটা ফোকাস নয়, যেমন আমি ফোকাসের তফাৎটা বলছি। ইংলিশ ডিকশনারি অ্যান্ড ফ্রেঞ্চ ডিকশনারি আপনি যদি কম্পেয়ার করেন, English dictionary is always open. Every year they're revising and they're adding new words, which are being supplied by the whole world is supplying those words. Some are from English itself, new coinages, especially from USA, or from different languages, and they are being included in the Oxford English Dictionary. French, just the opposite. There's a whole committee to maintain the purity of the French language. কোন জিনিস নেওয়া হবে না, বাদ দেওয়া হবে, এটা ফ্রেঞ্চ নয়, এটা পিওর ফ্রেঞ্চ নয়। এইভাবে the language becomes, it's pure but very limited. So this is one power of English, which allows it to be spread all over the world and adapted for use. About language, let me just say one thing. I just want to add this. The importance are not of English but mother tongue. There is this professor of mathematics, he is a professor of mathematics in Oxford University. নামটা ভুলে যাচ্ছি এক্ষুনি। এনিওয়ে, জুইশ ভদ্রলোক। তো উনি আমাকে বললেন, হি ইজ আ সাকসেসর টু রিচার্ড ডকিন্স। রিচার্ড ডকিন্স একটা পোস্ট আছে ফর দি অ্যাডভান্সমেন্ট অফ সায়েন্স, ব্রিটিশ গভর্নমেন্টের পোস্ট আছে। রিচার্ড ডকিন্স ওয়াজ আ বায়োলজিস্ট। এই ভদ্রলোক, অক্সফোর্ডের ম্যাথমেটিশিয়ান, he has come into that post now. And Richard Dawkins was completely against religion. This person said, I'm taking a different approach, a conciliatory approach to religion. তো কথা হতে হতে উনি বললেন যে আপনি জানেন, when Israel was founded, the country, Hebrew had been basically a dead language for a long time. So when it was founded, 1948, they took a decision, আমাদের language Hebrew, we have to promote it. KG to PG, সব কিছু হিব্রুতে হবে। And he was saying, overnight, সবাই বলছে আরে কী করে হবে, সারা পৃথিবীর টেক্সট বুক, বই টই সব তো বিভিন্ন ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে, ইংলিশে আছে বেশিরভাগ। একটা ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজে কেউ জানেও না, আমরাই জানি না, আমরাই ব্যবহার করি না। They said overnight, উনি ম্যাথমেটিক্সের দিকটা বলছেন, overnight mathematicians, professors had to sit and coin terms in Hebrew for advanced mathematics, and this was done in every subject. And from that time onwards, KG to PG, everything is done in Hebrew, Israeli. Now, he says, has Israel suffered academically for that? No. Tel Aviv University, এগুলো সব হচ্ছে পৃথিবীর বিখ্যাত ইউনিভার্সিটি। They have got Nobel prizes, মানে একদম ম্যাক্সিমাম নোবেল প্রাইজেস হয়তো জুইশ কমিউনিটি, সবাই ইসরায়েলি নয়, আমেরিকান আছে। সো দিস ইম্পর্টেন্স অফ হোল্ডিং অন টু মাদার টাং, আমার তো মনে হয় আমি ওইভাবে কখনো ভাবিনি। দ্যাট কামস ফ্রম ল্যাক অফ কনফিডেন্স ইন আওয়ার সেলস। আমাকে যদি আগে কেউ বলতো এই কথা, আমি নিজেই ভেবে দেখেছি, আমি ছোটোবেলায় ইকোনমিক্স পড়েছি, যদি তখন বলতো যে বাংলাতে কি উড়িয়াতে ইকোনমিক্স পড়া হবে, আমিই তো হাসতাম। কী করে, সব ভালো ভালো বই ইংরেজিতে লেখা, বাংলাতে উড়িয়াতে কী করে হবে, ট্রান্সলেট করলেও অখাদ্য হবে। নো, দ্যাট ইজ নট দ্য ওয়ে টু ডেভেলপমেন্ট। নিজের পায়ে দাঁড়াতে গেলে, ইভেন এডুকেশনালি টু সাকসিড, বসুন, educationally to succeed, mother tongue, the importance of mother tongue, we really have not considered it. এইটুকু জাস্ট বলতে চাইছি ল্যাঙ্গুয়েজের ব্যাপারে।
David Josiah Brewer says, oratory is the masterful art. Poetry, painting, sculpture, architecture. Please thrill, inspire, but oratory rules. The orator dominates those who hear him, convinces their reason, controls their judgment, compels their action. For the time being, he is a master. Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj is really a master. We have been listening to Maharajji with rapt attention, and for sure, his speech enriched and enlightened us all. Thank you is very formal and cliche word, but I can't find out any such suitable word to express what we all feel right now. So a big thanks to Maharajji. We are sure that Maharajji will be with us in many of our future endeavors. Now time for vote of thanks. I request Dr. Gautam Bandopadhyay, senior most faculty of our college, to propose vote of thanks. Dr. Bandopadhyay, please.
Just one, sir, একটা কথা বলে দিই. I just remembered the name of that mathematician, Marcus du Sautoy. Marcus du Sautoy. এটা আপনার আনন্দ লাগবে জানলে কি করে পরিচয় হলো আমার সঙ্গে. বাহামাজে একটা আশ্রমে আমি বেদান্তের লেকচার দিচ্ছি, দৃগ্দৃশ্য বিবেক। এই ভদ্রলোক সারাক্ষণ সামনের রোতে বসে থাকতেন, তারপরে খুব গভীর প্রশ্ন করতেন। তারপরে জানলাম উনি অক্সফোর্ডের ম্যাথমেটিক্সের প্রফেসর, মার্কাস ডু সেটয়। অ্যান্ড হি সেজ, আমার আগে রিচার্ড ডকিন্স রিলিজনকে আক্রমণ করেই গেছেন। হি ইজ অলসো অ্যান এথিস্ট, কিন্তু আমি রিলিজনকে বুঝতে চাই। আর আমি চাই যে যারা রিলিজিয়াস পিপল, দে শুড অলসো টেক আ সায়েন্টিফিক স্পিরিট। এই দুটো আমাদের ডায়ালগ হোক। তাই জন্য হি উড সিট প্রত্যেকটা ক্লাসে সবচেয়ে বেশি অ্যাটেনশন দিয়ে উনি শুনছেন। দেন লেটার হি ইনভাইটেড মি যে আপনি কোনোদিন লন্ডনে এনে আমার বাড়িতে আসবেন, আমি রান্না করে আপনাকে খাওয়াবো। তো ওই সময় এই ঘটনাটা বলেছেন যে ইসরায়েলের ফাউন্ডিংয়ে 1948-এ কী করে ওরা নিজের মাতৃভাষাকে প্রমোট করলো।
Namaskar. We have reached at the conclusion of the first session in our 6 days long in-service training cum orientation program for English teachers in various schools of West Bengal, sponsored by Ministry of Education, Government of India under RUSA project. We are fortunate to be the listeners of two most attractive discussions, namely the first one, though it is short in the form, introductory speech delivered by Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Secretary, Ramakrishna Mission Sharadapito, former Principal, Ramakrishna Mission Vidyamandira, Narendrapur, Ramakrishna Mission Residential College, Narendrapur. He was the principal of that institute. And the long-awaited topic, the importance of focus in education, explored by Revered Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Minister in charge, Vedanta Society of New York, United States, former Principal of Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, former Registrar, R.K.M. Very. We enjoyed the discourses, both the discourses, with eternal leads apart. On behalf of our beloved institution, Ramakrishna Mission Sikshanamandira, we convey our deep gratitude and respect to Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj, Swami Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj. We also convey our respect to Swami Vidyamritanandaji Maharaj, our principal, Swami Urjitanandaji, controller of education, the overall in charge of this city program. Our heartiest respect and pranam to all the monastic members, brahmacharis assembled here today. Respect and thanks to all our guests, our staff, I mean faculty and non-teaching staff. Respect to my dear participants in this program, and above all, love and affection to all my dear students of Vidyamandira and Sikshanamandira. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bandopadhyay. Sir, if you permit me, I would like to add one more point. May I? Yes. Our heartfelt thanks also to them who have been watching this program through live streaming, and also them who will watch this afterwards in YouTube as recorded version. Now we are going to conclude here. Before that, our respectful pranams and sincere thanks to Revered Sarvapriyanandaji Maharaj once again. We pray to the divine trio, may their blessings shower on all of us. Take care and stay safe. Have a good day. Dedicated to Holy Mother Sharda Devi, Sri Sharadar Panamas.